recording this episode, like most things, first time you do it, bit scuffed. This, bit scuffed. Yeah. Recording didn't work the way that we hoped it would, and it is what it is. So my side of the audio should be relatively clean and clear, while Sil's is a little bit clipping. But either way, first episode, it's how it be. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy this very long first episode on ranting about horror stuff. Anyway, enjoy. All right, well, welcome to Stage 4 Brain Answer.
Yeah.
This is the horror corner.
Fuck yeah.
So, my name is Sean. I'm a former film student. I currently work in industry. I do many different things. And joining me today is a very good friend of mine that I've had for like 10 years.
Yeah, man. Time flies. Probably more, I think.
PumpkinSpiceSil.
That's me. Thank you for having me on the show, my guy.
No, thank you for joining the one of the most scuffed podcasts in the world.
Oh, I'll fit right in.
Yeah, so today we're just gonna kind of start what I want to be is a little bit of a series that I'm gonna go down, which is a kind of deep look into the horror genre across multiple different types of media, but mostly film, TV, movies, games.
Hell yeah.
Web series, because there's tons of amazing web series out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sil on one of the on one of the streams over on PumpkinSpiceSil on Twitch. Go check him out. Went on like an hour and a half long rant about horror movies, and I was like, you know what? This would be perfect. We need to do this. So
yeah. I don't know. Like someone mentioned it, and then the autism kicked in, and I was just like, awesome. This is a TED Talk now, and I couldn't stop.
No, honestly, it was great because like it's one of those things that it's very nice seeing someone who has as much passion and love for it, but also actually understands all of the nuances in it. And a lot of people, like, they'll talk about something and it's very surface level, but you seem to understand because you share the love for it. You understand all the like small things that come up and the small little things that are very important, and I think that's really cool. So
thanks, man. I can definitely say it wasn't something that came naturally, because particularly how I process things with my brain is I will only ever get like the surface story initially. I'll take it quite literally, and I'll enjoy that and have the fucking best time, and then I will watch it again and then look up other people's interpretations of things and other people's the other things that people have noticed or read into or have linked it to deeper concepts, and then I get even more interested, because then when I watch it again, I can pick up on these extra things, and I feel quite spoiled and lucky that my brain works this way, because I get to enjoy something multiple times as if it's brand new. So I'm just like, oh, fuck it, watch it again and again. And it also kind of kicks in, because I'm a big believer of continuous learning, that I get to learn new things and get to apply that when I watch other things. Like I never really understood certain reasons behind different camera angles, or why people will be a certain size in a frame or in a certain spot in the frame. And when I started looking up, and by all means, I know shit fuck all on the subject, but even just that little crumb of knowledge has opened up so much more that I can get from the medium in horror particularly, and be like, oh, I get it. This isn't just scary as a scene because it's always spooky. It's scary because this person is enveloped by a certain color on the screen, and they've gone from taking up a majority of the frame to now taking up very little of the frame, and you can feel that powerlessness on a subconscious level, and it's just so brilliant that I just idolize the people who create this stuff, because they do it so well.
Yeah, no, 100%. I honestly, like, my intro into horror was more slasher films, where it was that kind of the nuances weren't fully explored there. But then as I kind of went more into like psychological horror and more into supernatural horror and things like that, I started understanding a lot more of
Not the desk, sorry, don't mind that.
I started understanding a lot more of that kind of like, again, so the nuances of storytelling through that, and then studying film and TV for like 3 years, and then making my own and working in industry again. You start kind of picking up on those storytelling aspects, and I think that it's very cool to see other people also notice those things, but then also the subconsciously you pick up on it, and it's really impressive when no one has to hold your hand, but you immediately know everything that's going on, and it's like it's cool. It's really, really cool.
That's pretty sick. Do you find that it can take you out of the verisimilitude of the story if it's done badly?
Yes. Yeah. So breaking that, what's it called? The word, just like the words of it that left my brain.
That's all right. Suspension of disbelief.
That's it. Yes. It happens here and there because when it's done too overtly or too like aggressively, it kind of ends up feeling disjointed from the storytelling, and it's across all of cinema, truth be told. Like there's a lot of movies that do it really, really badly, and there are some that do it really, really well. And even from like larger storytellers, larger creators, I mean, there are certain shots in certain movies that it's jarring because it's in there, but like I understand why they wanted to put it there, but I don't think that that's the right thing they should have done. So it's the same across like even books, like certain games, things like that, where it's, do you want to portray a message? So the way that they do it ends up being too heavy-handed instead of that. Like the art of subtlety really is super important, especially in horror. Yeah, because it's those subtleties that like your brain naturally will pick up on, even if you don't know it right away, and that kind of, you know, it helps build that anticipation for what's to come.
Absolutely. And like less is more, particularly with horror, and this is my biggest gripe with horror as well, not in a bad way, but like less is more, not just like visually or in the media itself, but storytelling wise as well. Like having that gap of information means that a person's imagination can fill it in, and usually because it's our imagination, we know what scares us the most. We can make it more fucked up for ourselves in that sense. No. And like it's my biggest thing with the Paranormal Activity, I think. Like I loved that first film so much, but then as it went on, same thing with Insidious, I think, and I love those films, is the further it goes on and they decide to add more lore, that it starts devolving into something a little silly, where it's like if you remove all that and just keep it mysterious and have questions at the end, it's a lot scarier.
Yeah. No, I think that's quite a common issue with a lot of things. Because for me especially, there's a few web series that I've actually watched. Mandela Catalog is probably the biggest one that comes to mind right now. But there are moments in it where it's also the reason why I hate jump scares so much, right? Because they do a fantastic job of building up the anticipation, but then it's such a cheap way to just like kill off the tension. And a lot of horror movies do that, but it's not just with like the actual scare itself, it's with other aspects of the film where it's you build up this certain storyline or certain character, certain whatever, but then the payoff is just kind of like it's like, it's cool, but it's over in like 2 seconds. And exactly. I really, really hate that with jump scares in films, and it's like a huge issue in my opinion when it comes to a lot of modern horror, because like Nosferatu, for example, which recently came out, which some people might not classify as a horror film, but it is. It's wonderfully shot, beautiful visuals. There are so many cheap jump scares in that movie for no reason, and like it does the Paranormal Activity thing that is like especially in the second one, where it does that like slow sweep across the room and like there's no sound, and then it's just like jump scare. But it's also just like a normal person that's there.
Exactly.
There's nothing.
It's impolite, is what it is.
Yeah, but it's just like, I understand, especially nowadays, there almost seems to be this, I guess, producer forced thing of like there needs to be this many scares in the film. So it ends up like taking away from the story and taking away from the actual tension that you're building throughout. And a lot of web series, because they're independently made, as people kind of figure this stuff out, they start to realize how important that tension is and how important not providing that relief is. And
exactly.
Like there's actually a D&D campaign that I got given as a gift that explains creating tension in a story. And if you look at it from like a scale of 0 to 5, 0 being totally fine, 5 being like maximum threat, you want to constantly be wavering between like 2 and 4.
Yeah.
But you never want to hit that 5, because the second you hit 5, if you don't provide that relief, people are going to have an anxiety attack, and that's not what you're trying to provide, right?
Exactly. You're trying to have a good time and like experience these emotions in a safe environment. You don't want to fuck yourself up, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But then also, once you hit 5, that's it. Like, you can't go any higher, and you can't hold that point, because eventually people get used to it, and then you become numb to it. And the worst thing in the middle of a movie is to become numb to the tension, because then you are so pulled out of it that it doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly. It just becomes boring, and there's also there's no stakes in it anymore.
Exactly.
Like I knew I'd work my way back into it immediately somehow, but like that's why I loved Hereditary. Because when I first saw it, I'd never had this experience before, and I always found it incredibly laughable when I would hear reviews of it, like people were nauseous in the cinema.
Yeah.
People walked out because they threw up. And I'm like, these fucking weak. Particularly when it was stuff with like The Exorcist and whatnot. But watching Hereditary, going into it not knowing what it was about, not knowing what I was in for whatsoever, and then experiencing it, my body felt so nauseous from the anxiety buildup throughout that entire film. It was brilliant. I ate that shit up. Nothing had ever done that except real life trauma to me ever. So immediately I started looking up, like, why? Why did I have this reaction with the film? And then seeing that sound design played such a big factor into the storytelling as well as the story itself, and how that tension was just constant, where I was used to horror films having tension up, stupid jump scare, or like tension up, payoff and it breaks. But this was just fully, even at the big moments where, like, spoilers, the telephone post scene happens, and you do have kind of a big event and a bit of relief. The tension does not let go whatsoever, and it's like, oh, brilliant.
Yep. No, honestly, I 100% agree. There's a very polarizing film, but I really liked it, and it's called Skinamarink, right?
I love Skinamarink.
It is such a good film, but at the same time, it's very polarizing because, like, I know a lot of people that have watched it and not enjoyed it, and I understand why they don't enjoy it. The reason they don't enjoy it is probably the reason I enjoy it, which is, like, it is just pure tension. And like the entire way through, I heard a description of the movie, which is it's like a children's nightmare, where there's no, it's not that it's like a scary thing that's coming and whatever. It's that nothing seems to make sense. Like everything feels off and wrong, and because of that, and like the framing and the fact that it's like super dark all the time, you can barely see anything, you can barely hear anything, that constantly makes you on edge. And that feeling is, I love that feeling, because like
palpable.
But it's that exact thing that a lot of films don't have when it comes to it. Like they'll again they hit the jump scare and that's it, move on, and then it goes back to story about people we don't give a shit about, right? Like if the whole way through the story has that tension, we care about the characters because we feel like there is something that could happen. I have the same issue with certain horror games, right? Because it's the second you get a gun, the horror goes away.
Yeah, it's an action game now.
But that's actually why I like Alien Isolation, because when you're fighting the synths, that's how it feels. It feels like an action game. But when you're fighting the aliens, you can't kill them. You can only deter them for a little bit. So
I need to play this.
It's fantastic. I love it. It's a game that's been out for a long time, and it's honestly one of the best horror games I've probably played in a long time, because there's no way to kill the thing. It's only a way to, again, deter it, to trick it, to get it to leave you alone. But when it's hunting you, it is smart. It figures out where you are if you're not careful. And that immediately creates that tension again. Like the second you know that this thing is nearby, you start being on edge because you need to pay more attention now. And again, in films, it's the same thing. Like there's a lot of Japanese films that have done it really well. There's a lot of also a couple of Chinese ones, but also a ton of like indie films that have also done it really well.
Yeah,
where it's even when they give you that relief of, say, the jump scare or whatever, it's not like an aggressive jump scare. It leads into another point of tension.
Yeah.
So it just keeps moving you back into that, like, even when this thing is like finally shown and it's chasing them or it's doing whatever, you feel those stakes still in play. You feel like, oh shit, like it's the same with The Thing, for example, right? I love that fantastic fucking movie.
Yeah, I only saw that recently, and my God, I can see why it's so beloved. It's a fantastic film.
Yeah, but like even when they know what it is, even when they can understand it, there's still that tension because you don't know if it's any of these people. You don't know if any of them are infected. You don't know what else is around that could be affecting. Like, so it's, and especially for current day horror, I think they need to understand that more. And some movies do, but there's definitely a lot of either independent or older that I've found understand that way more.
Yeah. And I think linking back to your point earlier that it's very much like producer decisions, and it's like the bigger the budget, the less freedom you have to be able to experiment and tell story as opposed to it turning into a formula to make money.
Yeah.
Which really sucks. Like, I love James Wan's earlier stuff. I feel like he's hit and missed nowadays, but I think it's because it's landed on a specific James Wan formula with specific shots. Like, I can bet any bodily organ that if I'm going to go into a James Wan film, that there will be a shot where the corridor extends.
Yeah.
There is, and I'm just like, I know you love that shot, bro, but you got to let it go. Sometimes you don't need it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's why I'm kind of excited for like more indie stories and things like Skinamarink. I fucking love Skinamarink. When I first watched it, I hated it because I didn't understand what was going on. No. Watched a video essay or two on it so I could actually understand the story because I couldn't follow it because it was in a format I hadn't, experienced before. And then when I understood the story and what to actually pay attention to, I got so immersed in it the second time I watched it that I was like, oh my God, this is actually brilliant. I just didn't get it the first time.
Yeah.
My only thing is the sound effect they chose for when like the door disappears. And I'm just like, but when you describe it as like, it's a kid's nightmare, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Now I can see that actually fits. It's not me being like, that was a fucking weird choice, dog. It's like, no, it adds to that playfulness, which makes it even more insidious that this is a horror. This isn't meant to be a fun thing. Oh, I want to watch Skinamarink again.
It's honestly, it's a movie I've recommended to so many people, and probably like 40% of them have loved it. and the other 60% of being like, I don't know what the fuck I just watched. And I'm like, honestly, I understand where you're coming from, but also you got to be kind of open-minded to it. Like, I think that's the other problem as well currently with a lot of cinema is the tropes of all the other movies are what we always expect moving into something new. So the second they don't hit any of those, it feels alien and we don't like it. And I'm like, you got to be super open-minded.
Trust. Just trust.
Yeah.
That's like, I find a genre that I absolutely love is horror comedy. And I think when horror comedy is done well, it's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And like with yourself with Skinamarink, I recommend Tusk to so many people, and it is so divisive.
It is.
They sit there, they're like, Sil, what the fuck did you make me watch? And I'm like, but it's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is actually my more intelligent friends, more intelligent than I, so intelligent that I think it's to their detriment, will read into the story so deeply that they'll be like, that's horrifying. If I'm in that position, I just want you to kill me. Don't let me live my life as a seal. And I'm like, that's fine, but it's a horror comedy. Don't think about it that deep. Yeah. That's too deep.
Yeah. Well, it's like...
But the scene when you first see him and it's that wide shot, I lost my... That was the perfect comedy beat. And I'm like, how did you guys not... Oh, it's too good.
It is fantastic. And like another one for mine, one of my personal favorite horror comedies is Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
Yes.
I fucking love that movie so much because, like, again, it builds up the tension and then immediately, like, undercuts it with comedy. But none of it is done in a way that takes away from, like, the actual story they're also telling. Because you understand that it's meant to be goofy and over the top. But, like, as stakes start building, you start being like, oh, okay, hang on, what the fuck's going on? And, oh, do shit. It's so good. Like, I love... Horror comedy is something that doesn't get enough attention and love, but also it makes us go back to watching a lot of older horror films and viewing them in a more comedic light, which is also fine.
Yeah.
Because, like, I love the Friday the 13th movies, for example, right?
Yeah.
And I got introduced to, like, the Nightmare on Elm Street series, for example, as well, when I was quite young. That my mum loves those movies.
Yeah.
I can't watch them without laughing my ass off every time because, like, they're just the goofiest fucking movies. And, like, I love them, but also I don't see them as scary, like, anymore at all. It's just so comedic and over the top. But
like,
then
I love in, what is it, like Nightmare on Elm Street, I think it's 4 or 3, which is Dream Warriors, and you've got the person with their tendons being pulled and they're like a marionette, and I'm like, that's... When I was like 12, scared me shitless. Yeah. Now when I watch it now, I love it so much. It's so fucking funny.
In one of the Friday the 13th movies, I always like go back to remembering where he just like, they're in a sleeping bag. He just grabs a sleeping bag and slams it into a tree. And it's just so fucking funny. Even as a kid, I lost my shit at that. And I'm like, wait, is this a serious movie?
Oh my God, that reminds me of so watching The Conjuring for the first time, loved it. That was probably my favorite before Hereditary came along, for similar reasons, where the jump scares were few, but when they were effective, like the clap out of nowhere next to the kid's ear. But the scene where you see the spirit of Bathsheba on top of the wardrobe in the girl's room going, Wah! And I'm like, I fucking cacked it laughing so hard that my ex at the time and his friend got so mad that I ruined the film. And I'm like, how are you not laughing at that? That's funny as shit. Like, imagine me just chilling on a wardrobe going, like.
It's the comedic thing of the, like, what is it, the fuck paralysis demon, like, in the corner of the room. Like, it's just, like, so goofy. It's like, how can you be scared at that, bro? It's just funny.
Yeah, at that point, I'll be like, oh, you're just a goofy guy. I ain't scared of you.
Well, I mean, all right, so I remember having that when I watched, God, I keep mixing it up, The Grudge.
Oh, yeah.
When I first saw the son, and he makes the, like, meow noise, I started laughing, Because I was like, I understand it's scary because it's still creepy, but it's also like,
Yeah.
it's just so goofy for some reason to me.
Yeah. When I saw it, I was just like, whose kid is this? Get out.
And like,
such a great film, though. But
fantastic film, like especially the Japanese one, I really really love. But even the American ones are okay.
They didn't fuck it too much, which I think is the biggest issue with American remakes of any film that's not American when it comes to horror.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to most films, that it doesn't need to be made. Like the original's fine. Why you
exactly?
Why are you touching?
Bitch, read subtitles. God.
Yeah, it's not that hard, bro. It's really not. And people are like always overreact about it, and I'm like, dude, it's fine.
Exactly. What was there was a recent film that came out, Speak No Evil. The original is like either Danish or Dutch, and then you've got the American version, and the American version kind of missed the point. Again, if you haven't seen the film, spoiler alert, skip ahead. But in the original, it's meant to be a commentary, much like the film Heretic, on how absurd the Western idea of remaining polite is in situations where you should run, you should fight, you should leave, but instead you're just like, okay, I'm just not going to upset this person. And you end up getting your ass killed. And the ending is they all die. It's bleak. It's meant to be bleak. It's meant to be that. And then the American version is naturally quite American. The family fights back and they have a happy ending. And it's like, that's all well and good, but you've missed the key undercurrent of this film. And I feel like that's, despite all the amazing performances in it, like fucking, God, what's his name? The dude who played James McAvoy. There we go. Fantastic, but just stick to the original story and it would have been great.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of films in general that get localized.
Localized.
Completely miss the point. Because, like, it's the same thing with... Fuck, we're going to get into a whole other topic. But it's the same thing when it comes to, like, anime and all that stuff. Where, like, because of the voiceover that they do, where they're trying to make the character cool, they end up effectively changing the entirety of that character how they originally were. But in general, when it comes to again, localizing, because you're adapting it for an audience that doesn't know the original and then trying to make it into a different story, that's not then using the original story. That is just making a new thing with the pieces of the last one and completely misunderstanding the entirety of what the original was about.
I've got a similar issue with, and I think a lot of people did, sorry, my camera does this occasionally, is with Squid Game, is because the Netflix subtitles were, localized, they weren't actually particularly great. So you missed a lot of nuance on why certain words were used to refer to other people, like in Korean culture, referring to somebody as a brother, or using certain words, and you actually lose quite a bit of emotion from it because it's not being communicated or localized well enough to be able to explain it. And I think it really does rob a story.
It really does. And especially when it's something like a horror film where it's sometimes most important aspects of it come from not only the language being used, but how it's being used or how the story is being told. And when someone sees it at a surface level or, like if you're reading the subtitles, to an extent that can maybe remove that, like, understanding aspect from it. But it's still, especially when I was studying, I was very much told, if a story is good, you don't have to have any words in it. People can pick up what's going on just based off the visuals. And on the other side of that, if a story is good, when it is read, told, said, whatever, you'll still be enthralled. So when you mix those two together, you end up with a very good product. But when you're also doing the individual side of it, if you do your job correctly, it's fantastic. Like, I could watch, say, Parasite. I love that film.
Yeah.
I could watch it without any dialogue and still pick up what the story is to an extent, right? At least there'll be certain aspects that might be a little blurry to pick up on, but like you get the gist of what's going on. And the same thing with just reading the subtitles. But
even like sorry, you go.
Go.
See, or even like to take it in a quite a literal sense, you've got like A Quiet Place. Little to no dialogue, and the story was just seeing the way that the actors communicated to each other. Just facial expression and body movement alone was insane.
Yeah. And actually talking about that, that movie does a lot of tension very well and pays it off very well. And then, I don't know if you've seen the last one, which was
day one
or day zero.
Not yet. Yeah. I'm actually watching it this week.
Okay. I won't spoil it for you then, but it kind of let me down in certain ways, but it's an interesting take on that universe. We'll put it that way. Because like going off of the Quiet Place 1 and 2, where it's like, it's been so long in this that everyone now knows what the deal is. It's interesting trying to like, seeing how that story started.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because I loved how in A Quiet Place, like in A Quiet Place 1, the scene where like the kid has the toy and the toy starts making the noise, and that could have been such a cheap jump scare. That could have easily been a really shitty delivered thing, but instead you have that tension build up of, oh my god, they've heard the noise, oh my god, the dad tries to run back, or you can hear the rustling of the monsters coming, and then the kid gets taken out on that really amazing like side kind of shot. And then you've got A Quiet Place 2 with, I just want to mention like that Cillian Murphy doing like the dive for them to go into the water, and like it's been so long. The universe is quite established. They know enough about these monsters now, but the payoff for the new information that they find is so well done. Like, oh, fuck, these cunts can't swim. And then really loud noises fuck them up. Like that, beautiful. They didn't have to overcomplicate it. So very well done.
Yeah.
But I'll keep that in mind for the new film. I'm a little worried, but like I'm still in.
Don't get me wrong. It's by no means a bad film.
Yeah.
But how can I put it? It's all of those movies are very character based in the sense of it's less about how the world is and more about how these individuals are during how the world is.
Yeah.
This is very much the same. You'll like it. I think you'll enjoy it because, like, again, it's still a good film. It's by no means bad. It's just there are certain aspects that do things that I wasn't the happiest about. I'll just put it that way. But it does happen, especially when you're touching on prequels, because when you start trying to do a prequel, you end up having, I mean, fuck, what was it? Like the Friday the 13th one, the redo where they effectively made it a prequel at the same time, in a sense, or one of the other ones where it's like you end up adding too much to the story in the prequel that affects how the original movies are.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of a big issue in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because like
it's the whole like time travel principles apply. Like if you go back and you change it too much, then the things that are happening in the future aren't actually going to happen that way. You need to really, keep that in mind.
Actually, a fantastic example of that is the Saw films, for example, right?
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't like them for a lot of reasons. First one's fantastic. I love the first one.
That was the reveal at the end.
Oh, masterpiece.
Fucking art.
Right?
Yeah.
But as the series went on, it got worse and worse very quickly. But the last one that came out, I think it's the last one, was a prequel. And it was dog shit because they changed so much that even the not the creators, I don't think, or it might have been the producers or whatever, are basically let's make a spin-off universe of the results of what we've done in this prequel. And it's like, okay, cool. So what you're saying is you fucked up so much with the story and how the character
and a new
is.
fucking timelines diverge now.
Yeah.
It's a comic book now.
Yeah, it really is. It's like, you could have just not done that. Like, I understand what they were trying to do with the original, but they just fucking, like...
Yeah. But, like, what, you don't need I haven't seen the prequel after, I think... X, where he was dead, I checked out. But, like...
I mean, he died in 3. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, wait a minute. No, I remember the tape in his head or some shit. Anyway, it's fucking wild. But, like, I don't understand even the need for a prequel, because in 3, it explains what happened to him for him to start doing this. And it's like, you can't make a whole film. That was like a fucking, like, what, a 5-minute scene? How are you going to turn that into
They did very ineffectively, in my opinion. I'm sure someone out there loves the film and is probably going to be really annoyed at me for it, which is like, look, it's totally fine. This is 100% subjective. But also, there's a lot of people that agree with me. So clearly I'm not the only one that feels this way.
No, I feel like I have such a low bar of enjoyment for films. Like, a film has to be so abysmally bad for me not to enjoy it that, like, it's wild. There's only, like, 1 or 2 films, and I'm only remembering one right now that I couldn't even finish. I found it that unenjoyable. But, like, us critiquing something by no means that you're not allowed to enjoy it. Go fucking nuts. I'd still enjoy this shit. It's just sometimes shit's bad.
Yeah. And, like, the way I see it is, as well, especially at the moment, everyone is so extreme with their emotions towards something. It's either the greatest thing that's ever existed or it's the worst thing to ever exist, and you should die for liking it. And I'm like, exactly. You're wrong there, because there's a huge amount of space in the middle. Okay? The level of enjoyment is, like, fucking massive. And, like, I had this same thing when I was talking about, like, game ratings and a bunch of different stuff. You can enjoy a film even if it's like a 2 out of 10 according to someone else.
Yeah, man.
It's based off of your personal opinion, and there's totally nothing wrong with liking something that someone else says is bad, but also you thinking that something can be good but not want to watch it again, or something can be good and want to watch it again, and something can be good and want to watch it immediately again. Like, it's totally fine. Just like
the things aren't mutually exclusive. Like, if something's good, it doesn't necessarily need to be entertaining or enjoyable, or something could be dog shit, but you had such a great time fucking watching it. You watch it 1,000,000 times over. Like, good and bad doesn't even matter on the rating scale. If you enjoy it, go fucking nuts.
Yeah. And again, horror, huge genre, massive. One of the biggest in the world at the moment, especially. There is a lot of shit movies that are still fun to watch. There are a lot of fucking dog shit movies that you will watch. You will be like, how the hell did this get, like, millions of dollars of budget? And there will also be ones that are made on exclusively for YouTube that will have 15 people that have seen it, and that'll be the greatest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, man.
It happens. It's fine.
Yeah. Or, like, I rewatched the Suspiria remake, and there's a reason why I bring this up, is because I rewatched it, and it was, like, I love the original, wonderful film, Dario Argentino, fantastic. Watched the remake, phenomenal, loved it. Amazing cinematography, looked stunning, the performances were stunning. It was only when I finished the film that I was like, I've already seen the remake. Why did I watch it again? I have no memory. And I'm like, this is a brilliant film, but oh my, I forget the entire thing every single time.
No.
So again, brilliant film.
Yeah.
Can't remember it whenever I watch it.
It's totally fine. And, like, there's a lot of movies that I've seen that I remember the keystrokes of the story, and that's it. I don't remember much else, because I'm not saying it was forgettable, but it just hasn't, like, drilled itself into my brain the same way that certain other ones have. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with not doing that, because when I watch the film, I can still enjoy the film. I just might not. It just might not be the most memorable film, but that's nothing wrong with it. Right? Especially, like, So I want to talk about the genres of horror, for example, right? So
Yeah.
there is a lot more, I guess, like gruesome or fucked up things that have embedded themselves in my memory than like genuinely fantastic storytelling. One of my favorite, I guess, horror films is actually the Fatal Frame movie that came out in Japan.
Oh.
That like probably most people haven't heard of or haven't seen.
Yeah, I didn't even fucking know that it existed. That's dope.
And there is, from memory, no jump scares in it. That's all I remember about it. It is just pure tension from start to finish, and it is so well done. But like, I can't tell you what happens in that movie. Like, but I love that movie, but I can't tell you what happens in that movie. But like, fucking Human Centipede, I remember the entirety of that film, and I hate that I do. I hate that I do.
But it's there.
It is. But like, that shock value has like embedded itself versus... But if anything, it makes me want to watch Fatal Frame more and never have anything to do with Human Centipede again.
Exactly. Because it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
That's like, I got to see, and I feel so bad because it was the first and I think the last time I ever, as an influencer, got invited to see a film early to review it. I was honest. Anyway, I went in and it was The Curse of La Llorona.
Oh,
and
God.
I was excited because it was the first time I got to see this particular story as a film. So I thought, like, the only other time I'd seen it in a visual medium was that one Supernatural episode where it was loosely that. So I got excited, and when I went in, it was so bad. But there was also so many jump scares that my nerves were on edge purely from the trauma response of my body jumping at a loud noise. And I'm like, that's not scary. That's just fucking with my fried nervous system. Fuck you. And I wrote all that in my review, and I never got invited again. I wonder why.
I mean, honestly,
it was bad.
Like, I went to go watch, I want to say Annabelle with a friend. And
Don't get me started on those films.
Was just so bad. It was
I watched that first one. Awful. And for some fucked reason, I held out hope that the next one would be better, and that was also bad. And then there was, the fucking third one? And I'm like, well, I'm fucking all in now.
Yeah.
And it was also bad. And then how, like, all of them, like, looped into each other in a weird way. And I'm like, I respect the weird looping thing. Like, that's probably the only cool thing in the film.
They did the same thing in Paranormal Activity. And, like,
yeah.
I want to talk about Paranormal Activity for a second as well, right? Because it did, to an extent, revolutionize a lot of horror for a lot of people, right? The first one, at least. Now, the first one is watching people sleep for about 63 minutes. The other,
you sound like that, I feel like a creep now.
The other about 20 minutes of that movie are actually things happening. In saying that, it still does a fantastic job of creating tension. It does a fantastic job of paying off that tension while keeping that tension there.
Yeah.
Now, the second one. Also, the endings of the first one are really weird because there's like 7 endings to it, and they picked like one. And apparently there was like 2 different versions that went out, and certain people got to see one ending and others saw another. And the director is like, I don't know, whatever. It's really weird.
That down.
Yeah,
that was like fucking. Sorry to sidetrack. That was like fucking Butterfly Effect.
Yeah,
I didn't know that there were 2 different endings. The first ending I saw, and not the first ending. I saw the fucked ending when I was like 13. Has stuck with me, and I never want to watch the film again because it was so bleak that I'm pretty sure if I didn't have depression, I would have gotten it then.
Yeah.
So when I talk to people about it, they're like, "The ending wasn't that bad," and I'm like, the fuck do you mean? He kills himself in the womb. And they're like, what film did you watch? And I'm like, what film did you watch? Sorry for the screaming. It's totally stuck with me for fucking like 15 years now? It
is 2 drastically different endings that it's the same with I want to say Room 1408.
Yeah. 2 different things.
No, there's 3 endings.
Are you kidding?
There's 3 endings.
I saw the bleak one.
Yeah, I did too. And then I found out that there were like other ones, and I went and looked at them. I'm like, why the fuck? Anyway.
You don't look. I prefer, like, I love 1408. Love John Cusack. The bleak ending, perfect. Keep it as that. We don't need happy endings for horror in particular.
Yeah, it's a horror film. Why are you giving it a happy ending?
Exactly.
Back to Paranormal Activity. The second one, same thing as the first. You're basically just watching people sleep, but they do all these like stupid camera angles because it's trying to be like security cameras and home cameras. Sure, whatever. It doesn't really do great on the tension. It is what it is. It's fine. As the series progressed, they hit a point where they were like, fuck, what do we do now? After like 8 more entries or some shit that is hyperbolic, but still there's a lot of them. Then there was like, it was called, what was it, like the Cursed Ones or something, which was supposed to be like marked ones, where it was like a spin-off, but then they do time travel shit in it. And try to make it so it loops into the other ones and connects, and it's just like, bro, why? Like, why?
Don't do that. If you're gonna do that shit, plan it at the beginning, so that way it actually cohesively ties in. You can't just retcon weird shit like that.
It
was so bad.
Just pisses me off more than anything, and There's some fantastic horror films that have multiple endings. There are some fantastic horror films that can do that kind of shit and it work.
Yeah.
There's one that I'm trying to think of.
Because I immediately thought of Boogeyman? I don't think I've seen that one.
Hang on, let me see. Oh, sorry, which one?
That's right. I immediately thought of the film that did well and did bad. For two different. I'll get there. My thoughts are going too quickly. I'm too excited. Was immediately thinking of Blair Witch and Blair Witch sequel. And when I say sequel, I mean the 2016 sequel, not the actual Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows, because that was, what the fuck even was that film? It went from this, and like, again, Blair Witch is in one of my top 10, not just for the story, not just for it being one of the first found footage kind of genre films, but also the marketing behind it was brilliant. So much so that it fucked up the careers of the actors in it because everybody thought they were legitimately dead.
It also fucked the director up real bad.
And it's like, but it was brilliant to the point that it spawned its own lore and mythos, and it kind of like created its own thing, which inspired me so heavily when I launched my goth club back in 2015. I took the same marketing route where I'm like, this mystery is going to be dope as fuck. So nobody knew who was running it. Nobody knew where it came from or what was it about. It just kind of popped up, and that was a big draw card. So like, brilliant. Thank you, Blair Witch. And then Blair Witch 2016 was fucking phenomenal. And I was curious how they would do it because, you know, tech has come so far since the original.
No.
They had drone footage. They had the camera footage looked like cinematography because at that point, you know, phone cameras are quite dope now. And then they did introduce an element of time travel, but you don't know if it was actually time travel or if it was an illusion or what's actually happening with the witch in the house, because you see, I think, Heather running around and then you find the old tapes.
Yeah.
And also time kind of stands still, and when they see the other party, they're like, oh, how many days has it been? We haven't had food. And they're like, it's the same night. I thought that was done brilliantly, and I kind of think maybe Paranormal Activity were hoping to do something like that, but just missed the mark.
Yeah. It happens quite often, I think. Like they try to piggyback off the success of something else or try to use similar aspects of it, and then it just doesn't. It like falls flat. And it's sad that it does, but at the same time, I mean, it's kind of their fault trying to do that and then not really like, because again, the first one did really, really well. They did fucking phenomenal. It was like what, $10,000 budget, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it made like $100 and something million, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic work from those guys. Super respected. But then like everything from there was just a snowball down a hill. Like it was just bad. But
like I respect the attempt of trying to execute something and missing, because at least you try. But I think it would have been so much better if those creators, instead of trying to treat the series as a cash cow, because at one point I do feel like it just turned into that,
100%.
to just create new stories. You're fucking good at it.
No.
Do something new.
Yeah. I think in general, when it comes to everything, it's very much like, what's the term? Everything we do is always based off of someone else's idea. There's no
and nothing's ever original.
But you can create a story using someone else's idea, but doing it in a different way, like executing it differently. And that is what creates that more uniqueness to it. But
exactly.
Yeah, I feel like there are so many things that rely on either technology or a gimmick or like something stupid instead of what should actually be what they're trying to like work off of. Because again, like going back to that the other movie that I was talking about before, Boogeyman, that one has this like kind of time flip thing in it, and like don't get me wrong, the movie itself is like kind of shit, but at the same time, like I saw it when it came out, which was like 2005. So I was like 10 or 11 or some shit. Like I was a wee baby.
Sounds familiar now.
And it kind of added to my fear of the dark. But
that's fair.
Like, there's this weird bit in it where they kind of go back in time and start changing things that the Boogeyman does. And like it does it decently well. It doesn't really make sense how, but like it does it decently well. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it a pass. But there's so many films that it shouldn't be done in, and there are so many series like Paranormal Activity that get milked into oblivion. Like, what is it, The Conjuring? Like I already don't like anything to do with the Lorraines. Ed and Lorraine are just fucking disgusting human beings.
Yeah, like when I first saw The Conjuring, I'm like, these two are the coolest people on the planet. And then I looked them up and I'm like, no, they suck.
They are horrific individuals. If you ever want to have some fun research, look up Ed and Lorraine Warren. They are horrific people that took advantage of many people in many situations.
That said, I do want to visit their museum, but just because, like, I'm a spooky bitch at heart. But sorry, what I was going to say was The Conjuring films. It's such a disappointment because there are so many stories that are genuinely brilliant. Like, this is my gripe with the Annabelle films, is if you just told the stories of the experiences with Annabelle, the entity, that's scary enough in itself. Make a film of that. Yeah. Make these weird fucking side things. And that being said, I do like, what was it, The Conjuring 2, the Einfield poltergeist or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But I only like it because it's a cute love story between the characters of Ed and Lorraine. That's it. That's the only thing I like. I'm like, that's a cute little rom-com.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, it does kind of.
Don't get me started on the third film. The third film's just bad, the fucking werewolf one. And I'm just like...
Yeah. See,
but there's a fourth now.
And they're probably also going to do a fifth as well. The thing
put
is,
it to rest.
People still watch it, so they're going to keep making it. And that's always the issue. Because, like, if it bombs hard enough that, like, no one watches it, or very, very few people do, then, it'll be fine. No one will touch it. It'll be dead in the water. It'll be gone. They'll stop doing it. Until inevitably someone is like, hey, let's remake it. Which will happen.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You want proof of that? The Exorcist.
Yeah. Oh, man.
First movie, fantastic. Fucked me up as a kid. Everything past that should probably have never existed. Except, actually, I don't mind The Pope's Exorcist.
That was... Wait.
That
Which one?
The first one. Not the Not the one that was, like, technically not that. Like...
Because the thing that fucks me up, right, is there's two films. You've got, like, basically The Pope's Exorcist, and both have Russell Crowe.
They do, as different characters.
Yeah!
That's the best part. Leading characters, different characters, same voice.
I was so confused. But, like, I loved... So the first one... Oh, I got to look this up so I don't confuse the fucking films. So it's like, it's The Pope's Exorcist, and then... What's the fucking other one called?
It's... I think it's just called The Exorcism.
The Exorcism. Yep. So I watched The Pope's Exorcist, and I actually loved that. I thought that was brilliant until the final act.
Yes.
Where all of a sudden I felt like I was watching a superhero movie and he had like God comic book powers. It was wild.
Yep. Look, I'm not going to say it was good that way, but it was still a good film. Right?
Yeah,
like,
I enjoyed it. It was a romp, but boy, did that last sequence, that last act fucking disappoint me something severe. I was like, we were doing so well.
I don't know if you've seen any of the original sequels, like 2 and 3.
I have.
Yeah?
Yeah.
3 is weird as fuck. And that was a straight to VHS, I'm pretty sure, at the time.
It fucking was, wasn't it? I was like, let me The Exorcist.
And it has the, like, priest from the first one.
Yeah, because Exorcist 2 was the heretic and she was older, and that was a very 70s film, dare I say.
Yeah, it was. And then the third one is, it's like the Pope, not the Pope, the priest that was there in the first one, but only for the first, like,
that's right,
10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then it's about an entirely different story.
Looking at the fucking poster for the film, and it's the campest thing I've ever seen.
Yep.
The Gemini Killer. I forgot. Oh my god, that was such a bad film.
It was goofy as fuck.
But like, I love supernatural horror like that. Like that for the longest time was the only kind of horror that could still scare me to the point I needed to sleep with the lights on. Like The Exorcism of Emily Rose, I think, was the first horror I'd seen ever in cinemas, and I was 12 or 13. And I still remember the scene where she, like, bends backwards away from the cross and then just starts fucking contorting. Scared the shit out of me, but it was fucking brilliant. And then the simplest scene scared me so much I had to close my eyes. And it was just the scene where you could hear the sounds of her being demonic in the background and the cross on the wall flicks upside down. Yeah. And I'm like, that's so well done.
So, like, I love supernatural horror personally, right? It's one I love writing, it's one I love reading, it's one I love watching. I love supernatural horror.
Yeah.
Especially when it touches on, like, weird things that you might not have heard of, or cultures that you definitely wouldn't know much about, but, like, it's really cool. So one of my favorites that I've seen recently is actually called The Old Ways.
Ooh.
It is about basically a journalist that goes to part of Mexico, I believe, and during her thing, she wants to go visit this cave, and all the locals are like, don't go to the cave, there's a demon in that cave. Anyone that goes there gets possessed. She doesn't listen because she doesn't believe. She goes...
Is she white? Sorry.
No, she's not. She's actually... she American-Mexican, like...
Fair.
So
I didn't expect the trope to be subverted there. That pleases me greatly.
It's really good. But she gets basically kidnapped by this old woman and her son, I believe. And they start doing all these, like, weird ritual things to her. But I don't want to spoil anymore. But the old woman's actually brujeria or bruja, and is trying to remove the demon from her.
Oh,
and it's really fucking
sick.
Cool. It is. That's
dope.
It is a fantastic film. It is Also, genuinely has one of the coolest fucking movie posters of the last probably like 15 years.
Yeah, I just looked at it and I'm like, this is fucking pimp as fuck. That art's stunning.
It came out in 2020. Really fucking good movie. I watched it and was immediately like, this is so fucking cool. And the best part is they're speaking Nahuatl, which is a Native American language that I have heritage in. Which is really fucking cool.
Dope.
Yeah, it is a great fucking movie. I think it's worth a watch, but also because it is touching on aspects of a different culture. It's not like Catholicism. It's none of this like Christianity, demons, angel shit. It is using like witchcraft. It's using that kind of stuff. I really, really love that. There was. I keep referring to it as a fucking Wendigo or something, but it's not, because it's a Scandinavian movie that I'm thinking of. And The Ritual?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, they did have the Wendigo in it, which was a weird choice. But I know exactly what film you're talking about, and that was fantastic. But I thought they were walking through Appalachia?
If it's The Ritual, which is the one I'm thinking of, I'm pretty sure it's in Sweden. Let me check this up.
Yeah, same. I'm just immediately like, this was such a good film. Yeah, it is. It's through a Swedish old growth forest. Why did I think it was Appalachia?
The Jotun.
Yeah. That's the
Which is supposed to be of Norse
like
mythology,
old gods and shit.
Yeah, it's an ancient Norse god. So I love that kind of stuff where it's like it gives you a glimpse into another mythology, another belief, another culture's stories and things. It's the same with like the Mothman, for example, right? Like Mothman Prophecies. I have a soft spot for that film, even though it's not really good, but like it's fine. Because it doesn't really do anything to do with the Mothman, so it's like he shows up like twice in the movie. I'm like that, sure. But I love those kinds of like supernatural, like folklore-y supernatural films.
Yeah, specifically the folklore element. Like at least for me, like in recent years, there's been not necessarily horror, but folk tales, I would say. Slav folk tales have really come into video games and in storytelling, which I find wonderful because I've never seen my culture in a show other than like if someone's from the Balkans, they're usually a criminal. Love that. Thanks, America. But showing the like witchcraft and stuff that I've seen like my grandparents do or like other family members do, and then the stories that I grew up with being shown in a video game with these fantasy creatures that I grew up hearing about, and it's like, oh my god, this is really cool, and other people get to learn about that lore too. And I absolutely get drunk on that when it's like folk horror from other cultures, like Thai folk horror when it's about Ghost Month and stuff, or like any Asian horror about Ghost Month. Fucking phenomenal. Learning more about other. Yeah, I'm just basically repeating over and over again what you just said, but like I so wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Please repeat. But I think that's also why, for myself, I get so drawn to like Asian horror, for example, because growing up, like SBS would always have a horror film from somewhere from Asia, and if it wasn't Japanese, it was Chinese or like Vietnamese,
or like Malay
wherever.
or Thai, Korean. It was fucking terrifying.
Yeah. And they were always so interesting because their depiction of like vengeful spirits or evil spirits or malicious creatures were always like so guttural or like visceral, where it's like you genuinely feel that fear almost like ingrained in you. Like there's something, and it's like I always suck the dick of Asian cinema because I love Asian cinema, right? Because again, I grew up with it. Like
same, choke on that shit. Hell
exactly. Like it's fucking amazing, but also like indie cinema from anywhere in the world tends to, especially when it comes to horror, tends to tell those stories, because those are the stories that are spread among the people. Like, the people know that. Like, anytime that I hear about like a Western idea or a Western version of the story of La Llorona, it always pisses me off because it's never accurate. But
ain't
when
that
it's
just
like,
the fucking way?
yeah, but when it's like our people telling that story the way that we tell it, or the way that we want to tell it, it's accurate. It's you understand why, and you understand the story, because that's our thing. And when it comes to, like, it's all right, I'm gonna go on a little tangent here, but it's also why I hate when people refer to like, I guess, cryptids or like folklore creatures as like creatures from other people's cultures.
Yeah.
It's like we were saying about the Wendigo on the stream. Where I don't like when people refer to it when it's in like Europe and stuff, because that is specific to a certain culture, and in that culture to a certain people of that culture. Like, outside of that area, they didn't really have that story.
Yeah.
So why the fuck would a Wendigo be in like Scandinavia, or in like the middle of Russia, or like the middle of Australia? Like, it doesn't make sense, because it wouldn't, like, even if it's the same creature in the story, it should be the story, or like the mythos
correctly
of that
localized.
Yeah. It, like, everything,
not localized.
Localized. But
you know what I mean.
Yeah. Everything has a different name if they are like similar creatures in different cultures, right?
Exactly. Like different pantheons of gods. Like, there may be similarities and crossovers, but a god in one pantheon in Europe is not going to be the same thing in the Amazon, for example. They may have similar stories, because creation stories are often told through this mythos. Sure. Does not mean they're the same.
Yeah. I mean, the easiest example is literally just Italian and Greek pantheons, right? We all know the Greek one. We also know always a few random ones from the Italian one, or the Roman one.
Yeah.
And they're effectively the same pantheon, but they're not the same pantheon, because they have a different name, right?
Yeah.
They have a different
Copy
name,
my homework, but make it a bit different.
Yeah. Like, they'll have different stories, but because of how similar the places were, they had that connection. They had that sharing. And when you have, say, the Baba Yaga, right, boogeyman, for whatever reason, it's not, but like, that's what they always call it now, right?
It's fucking wild.
It kind of annoys me with that. Like, don't get me wrong, I love John Wick, but John Wick was the like fucking the reason why people don't understand that the Baba Yaga is not the boogeyman. It's a different thing.
When I was watching that film and that was his code name, I was just like, what? But like, I will put a pin in the Baba Yaga, because hilariously I was going to rant about this in a sec. So like, I'll not rant, but like share a little fun fact. So anyway.
But it's that thing of like, you got to understand that different cultures have different things, and they might have similar things, but they have their own name for it. So use the other name for it.
Exactly. Be respectful.
Exactly. But also, if you're going to use that name for it, give a correct representation of it.
Yes.
Because it's the same as like vampires, for example. Like, folklore vampires and cinema story vampire are two very different things.
Exactly. Like this is and to jump into Nosferatu, I can link this, I can segue this. Trust my ADHD real quick. But this is partially why I loved Nosferatu so much, was it, because so for context for anybody listening, is my or rather for the people listening, is my heritage is Yugoslav from one side and Hungarian from the other side. So like Serbia, Croatia, the Balkans, just like that weird little section of Europe. So watching Nosferatu, I got to see a lot of like grandpa's side of things, which was Hungarian. And I teared up a little bit because there was things shown in that film that were stories I grew up with, specifically to do with vampirism. The scene where you have the naked girl on the horse going through the cemetery is a method of finding a vampiric spirit. And a vampiric spirit wasn't necessarily a physical form of a person. It was a spirit. That's how our folktales are for vampires. And when I saw that, I lost my mind. I'd never known anybody else to even know that. Granted, for obvious reasons, they changed it a little bit for film because, you know, there's some things we can't show. Like, and this is the other thing as well, sorry, just to like sidebar, is a lot of our history and folk tales are, what's the fucking word? It's told through story. It's like auditory records. It's not written. And a lot of people don't respect things or consider it a credible source because it's not written. And that's quite a colonial way of looking at things, which kind of sucks.
Colonial,
but yeah. But the thing that I loved was the way that I was told the story was the way that you do this ritual is it is a virgin girl that is pre-menstrual. So obviously you're not going to fucking have that in the film, and you better not. That's fucked. That's a child. And they're naked on a horse that is also a premenstrual virgin horse, and they need to be bareback and they need to go through the cinema. You don't have a whole bunch of people with them. It has to be them on their own. When they find the grave, you also better hope to fuck that this poor kid can ride this fucking horse bareback like a motherfucker back to the village, back to safety, because a vampire's not going to want people to know where its lair is or who it is, so it's going to try and fucking kill you. Which, like, showing that in the film in quite that bleak setting was I thought that was amazing. I'm like, finally, these really niche stories that I grew up on are being shown, and in quite a respectful way. It wasn't sensationalized, it wasn't sexualized, it was just there. Which leads me to another folktale from the Balkans, which I love, is we all know Baba Yaga, right? Baba Yaga, the Russian spirit or witch. But no one knows that she has a sister from the Balkans, which is a South Slav version, and that's Baba Roga, which is Baba with the horn. And she is probably more in line with the boogeyman tales than what Baba Yaga ever was. Baba Roga will steal children. Baba Roga will fuck you up. I remember as a kid being terrified to play outside on my own because I was scared Baba Roga would get me. Like, unpack that with my therapist another time. But I love it, and I love sharing that story because it's one that not many people know, and I would love to see that be told in a horror film because I think that would be a new story and a new angle and something really cool that people may not know about. I've kind of lost my point now, but you get me.
I did. It's that, like, giving the appreciation to especially cultural things and cultural differences and folklore and stuff. That was something I really enjoyed when I was also watching Nosferatu, because, like, while I don't have that, like, familial connection. Excuse me, I'm a little bit sick, so I'm just like, there's always been a how can I put it, affection towards Eastern European things for myself, where, like, growing up, I loved hearing about those things because, especially when I was younger, I had, one, a Russian auntie, two, a lot of friends that came from those areas, and three, now especially, I have even more friends from those areas. So hearing about those stories, hearing about folklore, hearing about those interpretations, but also hearing about the differences of those stories between each of these cultures changes dramatically, because even though it might be a couple 100 kilometers away, it is still an entirely different story and an entirely different thing. Or they might have an entirely different, creature or spirit or whatever it may be. And again, like, watching Nosferatu and seeing all the small things, the nuances, and also like, it's kind of fucked up, but a more nice interpretation of the Romani people was also really cool to see.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned this because, and I, considering this is a podcast, y'all don't know what I look like unless you look this up. But I will, for context, I look like a pumpkin spice latte drinking white girl. Like I will be clear with the appearance, but I am a ethnic. Damn it! Like I was raised hella European. I was incredibly bullied for it. And again, that's not me being like, my life is so hard. I'm so oppressed as a white woman. No. It's just giving a little bit of context from what I'm about to say so I don't get fucking lynched on the internet. But my heritage comes from Tsigani, which is a Hungarian lineage of gypsy. So for me to be able to see, again, the familial connection of how they were represented was wonderful. I was like, finally, we're not just being shown as dirty, traveling scum. It's and like the costume design was incredibly accurate. Like I did folk dancing as a kid growing up and seeing that be represented like correctly, and also the reverie and the dance and everything. And I was like, holy shit, this is done so well. And so respectful. And yeah, like I love that. And again, I can't speak for the entire demographic, but for my small little subset, yeah, I'm trying to be incredibly respectful because I am at my core, but I also know that there's a lot of things I need to unlearn to not be clumsy with it. But yeah.
That kind of goes with me as well. So on my mother's side, I have obviously there's some European in there because they fucked everyone in my place. So I have like Italian, I have Spanish blood. I also have African from like Morocco as well, which also has some Arab. But the large majority of it is actually of the Nahua people, the Nawat. And on my father's side is similar, but he has as well a large majority. But unfortunately for his side, we don't know which group it was because that was lost to time.
Yeah.
Colonizers are very fantastic at making sure that there's no evidence. Yeah, there's no evidence of anything of your past. So I don't know that. And unfortunately, 23andMe and all that shit don't tell you because they don't have that information. So it just says, yeah, you're from Argentina. And I'm like, yeah, I already fucking know that. Thanks.
It's like, thanks, champ.
Yeah, like cool. I know I have European and I know I have South American. Nice. Thanks.
Yeah.
And even for himself, like my grandfather was the last person to know, but no one on that side ever asked him. So while my dad and my aunties and uncles on that side know that he could speak the language, none of them knew what that language was.
Oh,
and
damn.
It's a very like disheartening thing because trying to look into it now, it's effectively impossible to find out.
Yeah.
But if I were to know and I were to find that, finding out then those stories, trying to find those connections to those things would bring me great joy. It's the same reason why, again, like the old ways, I fucking love so much because it's a glimpse into multiple aspects of my culture when it comes to that spiritual side, and not the caricaturized version that is used in like American movies where it's always like, oh yeah, you cut the head off a chicken and fucking squirt blood on people. That wasn't the only thing.
It's always weirdly racist.
Yeah. It's like, that's like, not the only thing. There's so much more.
Fucking, what was it? Like the film The Skeleton Key from 2005. And I remember seeing that. I haven't seen it again since. I want to, just so I can probably have a little bit more of an educated opinion on what I'm about to say. But I find it incredibly interesting reading into hoodoo tradition and root work and conjure and the history behind it, the origin of it, why it has a lot of Catholicism through it, and the reason for that. And watching The Skeleton Key and seeing this practice be demonized, something severe where it's like, oh, hoodoo, it's evil.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
no. It's a common thing. And so on my mother's side, we had a lot more Santeria, Brujeria, a little bit technically of that connection towards hoodoo. So we kind of have that. We have that Catholicized mixture with native mixed with African, because we had slaves that came to there as well. Well, came to, were brought to. So we have a lot of those cultures became mixed together. And through that, like, mixing, those things came to be what they are now. And especially with the stronghold that Catholicism had across Latin America. But because of the Catholic kind of stronghold on so much, it tends to demonize a lot of what we practice, even though what we practice most of the time has nothing to do with, it's like
anything evil or bad.
Yeah, like most of what we're doing, if not the entirety of what we're doing, is meant to cleanse the spirit, to heal the person, to prevent things. It's not we're not sacrificing people anymore. Like, and even then, right, in the Aztec culture, there was a specific person that was born and raised to be sacrificed. They weren't like, it wasn't like we were just fucking finding random people and then skinning them alive and like yes, there were sacrifices and all that stuff in that culture, and they want to demonize that and then use that as a means to be like, you know, you guys are fucking evil or whatever. And like, yes, there is aspects to every culture, including Catholicism, where things that were used to do negative, evil things, bad things, hurt people, whatever it may be. But it's less spoken about when it comes to that, because they want to have that say. And that's, hey, you have the power to say it, so of course you're going to fucking say it.
Exactly. That's like so two things. Why I am also so drawn to it, because in a lot of the practices that I was taught with witchcraft, there's a lot of Catholicism rooted through it as well, for similar reasons, obviously not as oppressed and not as intense. But naturally Catholicism sweeps through, and in order to keep your...
I would say it's honestly about the same, if not more so. Because, like, again...
Because in order to keep your traditional practices, you hit it with Catholicism to make it be acceptable by your new overlords.
Yeah, exactly. And again, the depiction of the Romani people in general, especially in stories about vampires, which, like, isn't the only folklore from the area, but especially when it comes to that, tends to always be put as, they're like criminals and thieves and fucking miscreants. And it's like, they weren't. There were people that in their folklore believed a certain way. And the same way that, like, people that had absolutely nothing wrong with them were getting exorcised all the fucking time and effectively tormented because they believed they had a demon inside of them, you know? And that's
and like
all cultures.
What was I going to say? And it's also like, this is a group of people who are being demonized, and they're people just trying to survive. Like, fuck me. You do the best with what you got, and if you got nothing, you like, come on. And that's like back onto the topic of different occult practices. Like the term white witch and black magic are incredibly racist colonial terms. And I hate people who use them, and we'll have an entire different conversation on this because I can talk for hours on it. But like,
me too.
Wicca, Wicca and neo-paganism is a white man creation that is fucking dripping with racism and appropriation and misogyny and whatnot. But anyway, and the demonization of these practices just because they're from people that don't look like you, or they're practices that you're scared of because you don't understand them, like the sacrificing of animals, for example, which is often not practiced today, or if it is practiced today, is still not understood because animism, it's that whole circle of life thing, right? Like it's not, death isn't something to be afraid of. And that's, again, what I love about Nosferatu and like how I was raised. The bleak Balkan way that I was raised is like death is constantly there. And it's not something to be afraid of. And also there are good, and I use quotation marks, good spell work or root work or conjure, and then there's bad quotation marks, but it's because people don't understand the context of where it's coming from. Like, for example, you've got a working in Hoodoo called the D-U-M-E, which is called The Death Unto My Enemies, and people will be like, whoa, that's really extreme, that's got to be evil. And it's like, you need to understand the context of where this kind of working came from. This is from people who have become slaves, who have had owners and masters who raped or abused or killed them and their family and their friends. So a death unto my enemies is not an evil working. It's a product of that situation and that time and trying to protect themselves with what they've got. Like, yeah, sorry, that was such a sidebar and a half,
fine.
But
it's totally fine. Like,
but you can see how that would be demonized and then turned into horror films, for example.
Yeah, I mean,
see, I can link it back.
Yeah. No, like, I mean, there's a lot of, because even looking into what is it, Amityville Horror and things like that, where it's constantly got this connection of either racism or misunderstanding or both in some capacity, right?
Is
Even
that where the trope of the ancient Indian burial ground started? Yeah. And like the Poltergeist has it too, and
it's a very kind of grotesque approach to it. Because it's like, it's a complete misunderstanding of things. And also, in general, you shouldn't build over a fucking gravesite, you dickheads.
Yeah, like you guys have gotten the wrong takeaway. This isn't an evil spirit. You guys are the evil that are on top of resting spirits.
Yeah, it's like, could you imagine now if someone were to build like an apartment complex in a fucking cemetery? Like, it's the same understanding, but somehow, look, because it's a different culture.
As a little weirder, I'd be like, fuck yeah, spooky house, but also like, that's fucked.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be fucked, but I guarantee you, like, 100 people will come along and be like, yes, I want that fucking apartment. And then so all of them.
Like,
and like, yeah. And they'd probably be real cheap too, because they know that it's fucked up. But, but yeah, like, in general, like, witchcraft in horror films is usually shown as the reason or the cause or the evil part of that story. And I think it's important to understand that, yes, to an extent, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. There is negative parts to it, because there is, right? Yeah. There's always
like,
going to be.
Ouija boards in horror.
It's a toy. It was literally a toy made by Hasbro in like 1960. And then people realized that it wasn't selling. So they were like, hey, if you do this thing and you market it as like, you know, it's a witch toy, all of a sudden it'll be, you know, whatever. Because originally they came in like pink and brown.
Yeah, like, I would kill for a pink one, right? Like, come on. But also like, for a different take from a different end, like, this was created as a children's toy to begin with, yes, but people have found a way to be able to use it as a legitimate, or at least I believe, in my belief system, a legitimate tool to be able to communicate with spirits or entities, not necessarily the dead. But my biggest argument is, if you're going to play with power tools and you're a child, or you don't know how to use it, or you're not going to be safe, you're going to fucking lose a finger. You're going to fucking hurt yourself. I'm not going to give a 12-year-old a mitre saw and say, go nuts. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's the way that I use the nail gun example a lot.
Yeah.
Which is, if you don't know how to use a nail gun, don't use a nail gun. If you haven't read the instructions on how to use it, don't use it. Because otherwise, you're probably going to fucking shoot yourself with it. And then you're going to be like, oh, I have this nail in me now. Well.
Exactly. Oh.
It's like, yeah.
And like.
Common sense goes out the window with a lot of that stuff, right? But.
Exactly.
Another one that really annoys me is tarot cards depiction in horror films.
Yes!
Because it's a complete misunderstanding of, like, all of the cards in that fucking deck. Yeah. Let alone how they function. Because the death card always gets pulled and someone's like, oh, and it's like, death literally means the start of a new journey. What the fuck are you on?
Yeah. Like if it was realistic, like if I were to do a film that had tarot in it and I wanted someone to be like scared, it would play out like this. I would be there doing a fucking reading. I would pull out the fucking 3 of swords and then be like, oh no. And the other person will be like, that can't be that bad. It's not the death card. And I'm like, this is worse.
Tower inverted. Like fucking
exactly. Ha ha.
A million other, but it's always a death card because
yeah. Or the devil card. Yeah. And it's like the devil card isn't actually the devil, fool. If you look at the artwork, there are people here trapped by the devil. Their chains aren't actually linked to him. They're there because they've put themselves there. They need to get themselves out. That's sorry. I'm quite passionate about this, as you can tell.
I am too. I'm letting you speak because I speak enough. Thank you very much.
No, I've been yapping like a motherfucker. But on this exact topic, have you seen the Tarot movie?
I have. That's exactly why I brought that up.
And they kept calling her the astrologer. And I'm like, you've depicted this woman as a negative stereotype of a gypsy and you're just trying not to use that word.
Well, also, astrology and tarot don't fucking have anything to do with each other. Like, one is, like, entirely fucking different. And also...
When they're like, I'm an Aquarius, and I'm like, of course it's the Aquarian doing the card readings, but, like, that's not got anything to do with anything.
Yeah, like, dude, come on. Seriously? What the fuck? And then all of the cards that they pull are, like, totally fine cards. There's like, nothing wrong there. They're not, like... Also, the way that she does the reading is entirely fucking wrong, in my opinion, but that's a different can of worms.
Seen some unique card spreads that different witches and readers have created for themselves, but none were like that.
Like, dude, that's the thing as well. Like, in general, witchcraft in films is never depicted correctly. Or if it is depicted correctly, it's depicted in an evil way or a bad way or a way that tries to make it as this, like, big evil
cautionary tale or big evil.
Yeah, exactly. And it's none of that is, again, accurate to what most of actual practicing witchcraft is to an extent, right?
Exactly.
Most people seek out that spiritualist side when they feel either lost in life or they feel like there's nothing left to turn to with a certain thing, or they want to try to reach out because they may have lost someone in their life and they want to find a way to have some level of connection. And that's like, that's another topic I could speak into a lot because, like, I do paranormal activities, investigations with a friend of mine because for myself, I've had a lot of things happen in my life. I've seen things that someone will always try to explain, but it always ends up being like, oh, it was a coincidence. And I'm like, there's only so many times coincidence can happen at the exact moment that it needs to, and it keeps being a thing. Like, but in saying that, if someone doesn't want to believe that or someone's a skeptic, it's totally fine. It is 100% your view on life. That is why I love philosophy as well, because the philosophy and the psychology of your individual mindset changes how you perceive the world. It also changes how you perceive everything, right?
Exactly.
So as someone who loves doing those investigations, because I've seen some shit doing it. Like, I went to Geelong jail at fucking midnight till like 2 a.m. Or no, it was like 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. And we fucking saw some shit. But,
please, for the love of God, next time I'm in town, can we please
yes.
do yes!
I'm also
and also
traveling.
next time you're in my neck of time, if you're ever in my neck of town, we'll do one here too, because there are so many spooky places here, but no one wants to go with me.
I'm going to New South Wales in a couple of weeks, and during that time, I'm actually going to go up to Queensland to maybe do another one.
Sick.
Going to a place that is apparently a very haunted location, so I'm very excited for it.
That's cool.
Yeah, but like I've been going through the footage because I'm also helping them edit all the video and stuff, and like we've found voices that are on the video that no one else heard.
Cool.
And there's been more than one occasion where we've put up the video, and then someone in the comments is like, "Did you hear this thing at this timestamp?" And you'll go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
And there's another voice. There's another something. And no one else is near this person when this thing is happening, or this person is. And it's shit like that where I'm like, this is fucking sick. Like, for me, I get really excited seeing that stuff. Because.
Same.
You know? But.
Yeah.
It's 100% a mindset thing. And you have to go in with that open mind. And you have to go in with some level of skepticism, because there's always going to be something. But you also have to have some level of acceptance.
Exactly. It's that healthy balance, because granted, yes, there are some things that you can explain logically. Then there are some things that you cannot explain logically. If you walk in with too much of one belief, like one side of that coin or the other, it's going to dictate your experience.
Yeah, exactly. And like, for me, I experienced a lot of things when I was younger, right? After doing a lot of soul searching and finding, I guess, my disconnection from certain religions and more connections to others and things like that, or belief structures, I should say, and personal philosophies and things, I don't experience much now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because how I see things is very different to how I used to. But that doesn't mean I don't experience things. I just try to always rationalize it, and only when I can no longer rationalize it, or when it is so like overtly obvious, or someone else sees or feels it too, then I'm like, okay, cool, maybe this was a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like I very much believe my house is haunted, but it's by no means a bad spirit. It's just like an old woman that died here, and she was probably a lovely woman, and she just like walks around the house every now and then, right?
Yeah, she's chilling. She's chilling.
Like if I have that door open, out of the corner of my eye, I will just see someone walk, and I'm like, there's no one else on this side of the house.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just me. But I'm also like, well, I mean, it could just be the light outside, it could be a shadow, whatever. But every now and then, like my brother, who is in the room next to me, sometimes he's overseas at the moment, but will just be like, was there someone in the living room? And I'm like, wasn't just me, huh? But
I love that shit.
Going back to what we were talking about before as well.
Yeah.
The same thing happens with, like, again, Ouija boards, with tarot cards, with all these things, right? I've heard stories of, say, my uncle playing with a Ouija board and experiencing something and being so terrified at it that him, my cousin who was with him, and then someone else went to go get blessings at a church because they were terrified of what happened, which, understandable. However, I've never seen whatever happens in a single fucking movie happen to anyone else. I've never heard of it. I've never seen it. It's never happened because movies are bullshit in that way.
Exactly. Like, I am still waiting because I'm holding out hope that this is like, because I've heard stories where it's happened. So I'm like, okay, I'll just wait for my turn. Like, for example, poltergeist films where all the kitchen doors open.
Yeah.
Like, I'm waiting for that day. Just please. Please. Just once.
It's like, there are certain things that you can just try to say, maybe it was just me. Maybe it was like minor hallucination. Maybe I was a bit sleepy, whatever it may be.
And that's the thing too with having ADHD. I have no short-term memory. So like I legitimately could have just left all the doors open and then spook myself being like, it was a poltergeist. Like,
exactly. But
it's the fun part of life though.
If you're like standing there and it happens, it's a different fucking story.
Yeah.
Which is what I think everyone who believes in ghosts or is in any level spiritual to that capacity wants to experience, because then it's like world-changing view. But
not an evil spirit, just like look, I will put it out there. When I die, I say that in my brain being like, I should say if. No, dude, when if, what are you fucking talking about? When I die, I absolutely come back and haunt my friends, and I'll be like, all right, dog, I'm gonna open all the doors, let's go. Just need a fun spirit, not a scary one.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be there saying, it's Britney, bitch, in your ear at 4 a.m. Like, you'll be like, oh, it's Sil again.
But see, like, so even the term poltergeist, for example, right? Which we all know the movie.
Yeah.
I hope everyone's seen it, because it's a fucking old movie. Like, you should have seen it by now.
Yeah.
But, like, that term is from German folklore, for example, right? And yes,
that makes sense when you look at the word etymology.
Yeah, because, like, geist, ghost, polter is to, like, rumble or move or shift. So it's like shifting.
Sorry, I'm immediately like, let's get ready to rumble. Sorry.
But, like, that comes from that thing. So that terminology can kind of work overseas if there's not already a term for it, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, it's the same thing that happens with it's like Onryo and things like that when it comes to like a vengeful spirit of like a thing. Where it comes from like the Japanese term, right? Totally fine when that happens. I'm fine with that, especially in movies, because like it begins to broaden that term in the way that it becomes like common knowledge, or in a sense, right? So if someone were to experience that, we could be like, oh, it's a poltergeist, because there's no other term that we can. It's a ghost that's moving my shit. Doesn't work as well as poltergeist. You know?
Exactly.
So,
or like different cultures in different countries having the borrowed word in English for a computer, for example. Yeah.
Totally fine there. But when it's like in a movie, say if I were to shoot a movie, like a short film or something here in Australia, and I'm like, oh, it's a Jersey Devil. It's like, that doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't.
Just a minute. This poor cryptid's on holiday, dude. How dare. No.
Because, like, there's a version of Bigfoot in a lot of other countries, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I mean, Sasquatch is the Nepalese one, I think.
Yeti,
there we go.
Yeah. Sasquatch is a different version. It's from a different. It's a Native American language from memory. But then I don't remember if it was a Yowie or a Bunyip is technically the Australian version, and then there's like.
It's interesting.
I think I could be wrong. I apologize if I'm wrong there, but there's also one for. I want to say it's the Philippines. They have one as well. And there's like all these different things, but we all know it as like Bigfoot because it's the easiest way to remember it. However,
sorry, you're correct. Yowie and Bunyip are our essentially version.
Cool.
Yowie specifically, Bunyip different apparently.
Yeah. So there we go. So that's effectively the same thing right here. So I always remember it from the little chocolates.
Same. Wolf was my favorite.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Fuck, I lost my track. Oh yeah, but in a lot of movies where it's based in a certain place, I think personally, I feel like it should really be referred to as that thing from that location.
Yeah, it's correct original name.
Yeah, like I understand if you have someone who's like just searching around and they happen to see it and they're like, oh my God, it's Bigfoot. Sure, that can pass. But if you're actually going to refer to it as like, oh, that's Sasquatch, that's not right, you know? And again, like in horror films, if you want to depict a spirit or a creature or whatever it may be, or even like, again, witchcraft, different types of witchcraft, referring to it as the correct terminology feels more not only like appreciative and understanding of it, but also like properly represents it then. Because saying witchcraft is a huge fucking broad stroke. Because
it's massive.
It's an umbrella term. Like there is so many different things, of different cultures, of different places. Like pretty much every country in the world has it to an extent, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not people realize that is entirely up to them. Different tribes of Native Americans had different types as well. Different, like all throughout the Americas, all the way from the bottom of Argentina all the way to the very top of Canada, had different types, different styles, different approaches, different things to different gods, to different whatever.
Yeah.
Same
and
thing
for like different reasons. Again, regional differences.
Exactly. Like in certain places, they didn't need to worry so much about harvests because they didn't need to worry about that as often. Like it was a bit easier in certain places, so they didn't need to pray
like
those things.
Deep inland, they wouldn't need to worry about fishing, whereas on the edge, they would need to worry about that and storms and whatnot.
Exactly. Like it's the same with a lot of other cultures and a lot of other things. And I very much feel that needs to be correctly referred to when it's in that region. Because again, like I did this really badly because again, the ritual, that's not a Wendigo, but like in my brain, first word is Wendigo, even though it's not. Yeah. It's entirely fucking different.
Yeah. But then perfect example from literally this example that you're giving is you looked it up, you found the correct term, and then you referred to it as Jotun, which was the correct term. Yeah. And you can do that in horror. How many times have we seen that trope? Immediately, I think of the worst example, which is Bella in Twilight looking up about vampires. I know, but it's like you've always seen in horror films or in films in general where somebody doesn't know something, but they know it's similar to these characteristics. They may have a word for it, but it's the wrong word, and they start researching, or they'll talk to somebody from the area and they'll be like, oh, you're talking about this. And then they use the correct term for the rest. Like you can easily do it that way if you want to. You don't have to just run with the wrong terminology for the whole fucking film.
But it's that big problem of the podcast is turning into a whole bunch of different things, and that's totally fine with me because it's free flow. Fuck you. But it's a big problem with a lot of like mainstream films because then I'm sure some people out there's entire interpretation of a vampire comes from the Blade films. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, sure, I love those movies too. But if you want an accurate representation, it's not the Blade films. It's like closer to, like Nosferatu at the moment. Bram Stoker's Dracula is not a good representation of a vampire. Exactly. It's really not. That was like
the first romanticization, really, of it, I would say.
Like, I like the Anne Rice books, but they're also not a good representation of vampire.
Exactly. And that's something I find interesting about the media. Different representations and different storytelling for vampires. Like, you look at vampires in cinema and it's quite different to where the folk tales started. Like, these are monsters, which is why I love Nosferatu, for example. Also why I love, to a degree, you accidentally touched on one of my special interests and obsessions at the moment, which is Interview with the Vampire, which totally comes back around constantly. Which is also the TV show that AMC released, I think, from 2022, which is phenomenal. But they keep the monstrous element to it, which is why I love that. It's not overly, like, I'm a goth romantic at heart. I love that shit. I'm a sucker for it. But I love when my monsters are monsters. I didn't like the mid 2000s to mid 2010s or early 2010s era where monsters were so romanticized they didn't even realistically embody the monster they were meant to be. Again, Edward in Twilight. There's no fangs. Cunt walks out in the daylight. He doesn't drink human blood. He's not a monster. That's some weird dude. Or like Warm Bodies. Really cute. Loved that we had Nicholas Hoult as a cute hot boy zombie, but like that wasn't a zombie.
Yeah. And, like, it's the reason that I have so much gripes with Twilight, despite, like, look, the films themselves, they're fine. They're romantic. Yeah. They are romantic films. I don't care what anyone says. Like, that's what it is.
That's the point. They're love stories.
They are. But there are some people who don't realize that, and But their depiction of vampires, or their idea of them being vampires, and the idea of like werewolves or lycans, also really pisses me off because it is so distant from what is the monstrous elements of those things. Because in the end, none of these creatures are supposed to be like seen as this like beautiful thing. And that's why I don't like the whole like glowy skin vampire, oh you're beautiful, whatever bullshit. Oh, it turns into a big wolf. Like they're supposed to be grotesque, monstrous, evil beings, right?
Yeah, and they're not supposed to have an element of control over what they can do. They're monsters. They're meant to run on instinct and survival instinct. Yeah. Werewolf isn't meant to be able to control when it turns into a werewolf. That's the scary element that even the person who is the werewolf has to live with. Exactly. Like,
it's the same reason why, and it's slowly, I kind of don't like it, but I do like it. Which is like why Wendigos are being so much used in, especially like people's stories nowadays. Well, at least online and stuff like that, because the entire story of it is inherently like fucked, right?
Yeah, it's scary as shit.
Yeah, well, it's a spirit that effectively takes over someone after they did cannibalism to survive.
Yeah.
And then it's supposed to be the vengeful spirit or the evil spirit in the mountain that takes them and like turns them into a monstrous thing.
Yeah.
Right. Which I love that because it's interesting. Like it is.
Yeah.
And as far as like a folklore or a story goes, it would definitely make me fucking terrified of going to certain mountains.
Yeah. and like it's fantastic in that sense because it plays on such a human fear. Like you're stuck in a situation where your primary objective and instinct is to try and survive. Yeah. So unfortunately you do whatever you can, but it's not even just a cautionary tale. It's just fucking scary.
Yeah. And like that is fantastic. And then when it goes to, like we were saying with vampires and werewolves and a whole lot of other like creatures and cryptids and things, they always end up, I use the term monster fucker, but like it always ends up leaning into people that want to fuck the monster as opposed to the monster being like genuinely terrifying. And
see, this is sorry, just to quickly jump in. But this is monster fucker slander. Sorry, as a proud monster fucker, I don't want to fuck something that's a little bit like a monster. I want the scary thing. I want the thing that has no humanity whatsoever, and I will fuck it like that. That's what a monster fucker should be.
Pyramid head.
Sorry.
No, like it's
that's
totally
not even a hear me out. That's a jacked guy. That's just a jacked dude.
It is. It's a jacked dude that like somehow can see. I don't know. But yeah, look, I understand it. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's...
Like, I want to fuck the Jotun in the ritual. Like, that's...
You know what? We're going to need to do a hear me out on that, because, like...
That's not even my worst! Anyway.
Do I want to know? Best? No, it's fine. I'm so lost on my train of thought. No, but... no, it's fine. But
the demonstrification of monsters.
So... Like, if you're doing a monster film, make it a monster film. So, again, like, I'm going to split from horror for a second. I fucking love the Godzilla films.
Yeah.
I do. The first, like, the original Godzilla film is terrifying. And it's meant to be. It's not meant to be what it became. It was meant to be a representation.
Well, it's an allegory of the... atom bombs, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of
those tragedies, essentially. Yeah.
And horrific things that happen. Yeah. And
oh boy,
the stories that follow, and even the second one still touches on that, right?
Yeah.
But then hit a certain point where people loved Godzilla, so Godzilla became more acceptable
like
to ours,
I guess.
Yeah, to an extent, right? It became more, even if Godzilla was a bad guy, it was never like, oh, this is like whatever, evil. We can kind of half root for him, and then slowly became the good guy of the stories, and then that just kind of continued. When the Americans made their copy of it, it was kind of dog shit, and it was just a big T-Rex because they didn't understand what made the original the original.
That makes sense.
when you look at the new ones, the American version depicts Godzilla as not evil nor good. It's trying to just be the alpha of the planet. That is effectively what it is. And it doesn't care about humans or anything in between.
It's a bit more sense, I would say.
Yeah, because it's trying to rule things, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the current Japanese ones, it is back to the allegory of war in a sense. It is back to that destructive force of nature that is inherently just trying to make the world its own in a way. Whether or not it kills fucking everyone doesn't matter. It's not there to make friends, it's there to destroy. And I appreciate that, because that is much better than this like buddy action film that's happening now, where it's like Godzilla and Kong are now friends, and it's like that has nothing to fucking do with.
Exactly. Like, it just gets weird. Looping it back, it fits perfectly with the argument of less is more, and too much lore can destroy a premise. Like, having it just be what it is can often be enough. Yeah.
And with horror films as well, especially, sometimes just making it what it is, not trying to add too much human element or not trying to make it too much about weird other things, like just if it's a monster film or a slasher film or whatever it is, just make it that thing, right? But also the other approach would be the flip of that, which is instead of not making it about people, make it about a person that is experiencing these things with no way to get out of it except just get through it, right? Which unfortunately leads into another trope that I feel got overused like fucking crazy, which is the final girl. I loved it in the early days, like early Halloween movies, fantastic. Yeah. Some of the fucking, it wasn't even in like Final Destination technically as well, and like a few other things. Yeah. It's cool. Have the final girl. Have that. Totally fine. Don't keep making movies about her.
Yeah, you end up turning it into a cliche, and it's no longer an interesting story because it's been told so many times. But not only that, it's been told so many times the same way.
That's the biggest problem that it ends up being, where every movie ends up being the same movie. Yeah, and
it's actually why I'm interested in the new Final Destination that's coming out, because it feels like a bit of a twist on the final girl, whether the reason why the things are happening this time is because there was a final girl who lived, had a family, wasn't meant to have a family, and now death is trying to wipe them out. And this final girl has been final girling so hard her entire life. She's a grandma now. There's an entire book on how to keep yourself and your family safe. And I'm like, now that's an interesting take. Now that's something new 100%. From this. Yeah.
And I think that being a different approach to it, totally fine. It's probably going to be really good because it's a fresh approach to it. But there was a huge period of time where it became, I want to say, the Terminator effect, because the first Terminator was a horror movie, right? Yes, it had action in it, but it was a horror movie about an undying, unwavering fucking robotic force that would
that does not stop.
It does not stop. It does not care. It shows no mercy. It gets like, it is there to do its job. But then he became a good guy. He became the action hero. It became an action series. Yeah, and that happened with Halloween. Like, it really did. There's literally one movie where Busta Rhymes is in it for some reason, and he drop kicks fucking Michael Myers through a goddamn wall. Like, Busta! Yeah, I think it's like H20, I think it is. I could be wrong.
Like H2O?
Yeah, it's fucking so stupid. It is the worst thing to happen.
I've never seen any of the Halloween films, but that alone has made me want to watch.
There's one that's, I think it's Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which is like a different story too. It's really fucking weird.
Yeah.
It feels like a Goosebumps episode, funnily enough. But
Oh, I love that. I love Goosebumps being like the kids' equivalent of a horror series.
Actually,
like,
I want to go into that in a second. That's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's really strange. But I think it's important to kind of focus on trying to tell which story you're trying to tell, but then not wanting to continue it just because that's like a fan favorite character. Like,
yeah,
you can leave it as a fan favorite character. They can go back and watch that movie again later. They
exactly.
can watch it again
It'll
and
always
again and
be
again.
there.
You don't need to keep, like, there are so many other things you could be doing, guys. Just
Yeah.
like,
Or if you are going to wait until you have a really good story, wait until you have something good to say. Like
100%. And like we'll get into Goosebumps as well through a very good segue I'm going to have. I like having any series become more anthology as opposed to because then in the sense of like you're telling different stories and it's cool. I love that. That's good because that is effectively what the Friday films as well are, where it's the same bad guy, but like none of the same good guys that are effectively in it. Like they all die in some capacity. Like you have no protagonist, it's just the antagonist. And like with like there's also like the VHS series where it's just like a horror anthology series.
Yeah.
Where like
I love that shit.
Yeah, like it's cool just to hear other stories and other people's like viewpoints on stuff. And like growing up, I also did grow up with Goosebumps. So for me, I love those like short story things. And some of them are really fucking good and genuinely terrified me. And then some of them are so fucking goofy that they're just funny to watch. Oh, God. I
love them so much. And they were such a... I do feel like there needs to be... We need to look into the pipeline of Goosebumps enjoyer as a child to a horror fanatic as an adult, because I feel like that's a straight fucking line.
Yeah.
But they were fun and they were creative. And yeah, they took risks in some of the stories and some of them were incredibly goofy. But there was another one I remember as a kid watching, which is Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes. Yeah.
And that was fantastic when it stayed an anthology. When it turned into like a linear story, it kind of went downhill.
And like it's fine to be hit and miss because some of the episodes of Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark they don't land, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But you have the opportunity to try something new, try something different, see if it works.
Exactly.
If it doesn't, it is what it is. You move on. Yeah. And I think when it comes to the film industry, at least, it's very punishing of people that take risks. And I really don't like that it is because it prevents that, I guess, imagination really getting that opportunity. Because again, like...
Exactly.
Skinamarink is a fucking great film, but no fucking way anyone would have made that.
Yeah.
Like, if the guy that made it didn't just make it, it wouldn't have been made because no fucking studio would have ever picked that up. And if they did, they wouldn't have let it be what it is.
Yeah, or like Talk to Me. Fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
Did not expect that. And then when I found out it was from small creators, that made me love it even more.
YouTubers.
Which is... which is partially... And they're Australian YouTubers too. And that's partially why I think I hated the film Baghead when it came out because it just felt like a cheap imitation of the story, but it was bad, I think, personally.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It honestly felt like what's that other movie? The Collector?
Oh, I think that's
the...
Let me look that up. That was pulling that out of the corner of my brain there.
Where it's more, it's just that, like, it feels like something, but it just doesn't really land.
Yeah. But that's the thing as well is with the film industry being so punishing is these films coming out get punished for taking a risk, and that sucks. But not only that, like, these films often are so beloved by certain people that it ends up inspiring them to create something else.
Yeah.
And if you don't have someone taking risks, you won't end up with masterpieces later on down the line because shit needs to grow and evolve. Like, Netflix has kind of ruined TV shows in that regard because if something isn't successful the first two rounds, it gets cancelled.
Yeah.
Where so many TV shows needed to reach like a sixth season before it found its pace and it found its niche. Like, what was it? JoJo's had 2 seasons before the whole stand thing came into it, and then it.
Yeah, it was 2 seasons.
Like, Netflix would have cancelled it after season 2, and we wouldn't have gotten fucking Stardust Crusaders, for example. But it's a very weird direction to take that tangent. But
hey, look,
it's the other example I have.
Hang on, as someone with a JoJo tattoo.
Look. Me, JoJo, posing on a podcast that no one will fucking visually see.
I mean, I could put out the video if you want. But no, it's in general, I think having the opportunity for people, that's why I love web horror so much, right?
Yeah.
Because it can be just like one person in their room just making random shit and it works. And like they love the story, so they're just going to tell it. And like for me,
like Junji Ito's stuff, phenomenal. I know that's probably a poor example, but like he just started as a dude.
Yeah, I mean, most of them are to an extent just one guy. It's not like it started as a studio. It was just someone that loved doing something enough. And then it just happened to find an audience and it happened to get picked up. And like, again, the horror genre is so big that there are so many ways you can do it. Like, one of my favorite, I guess, subgenres when it comes to horror is that, like, eldritch kind of, like, greater beyond. And I remember seeing a comment that was a very good depiction of what it should be and why most things kind of struggle with it, which is you either have to depict it one of two ways, and it's the Eldritch Abomination, like, affecting things, but it's beyond our comprehension, or it's you've seen the edge of our comprehension and somehow it's changed you and now you can't get it out of your head so much that you need to see it again, but that just leads it to coming here, kind of thing. And I fucking love that because, like, one of my favorite horror movies, and it got introduced to me by
I'm hoping you're about to say Colors of Space.
I love Color Out of Space, but no, it's not. It's actually called The Void.
Oh,
fantastic film. It's indie film, low budget.
Hell yeah.
They did everything practically as well. So there's like,
I love that.
So many, it's so fucking good. But that whole film is in just like a hospital. Like it's just shot in one place kind of.
That's sick.
But it is really fucking good. And that as a depiction is fantastic because it doesn't set a ridiculously grand scale, but it gives grand results, if that makes sense. Like,
that's sick.
It's a thing of it happens to be in this small place, but the results of what happens here may lead to everything else being affected, which I think is fucking cool. And I think not many things do. Like, everyone is trying to be that Marvel cinematic universe so much that they're like, everything has to be so grand, but it's like,
you can dial that shit back to just one room.
Yeah. Like, I love the idea of like a cult or a small group or whatever it may be that happens to know about this thing, wants to bring it in. Why the fuck would they do it in the middle of New York when they could do it in the middle of bumfuck nowhere and get absolutely everything they need set up? And then it's like...
And not be disturbed. Like,
exactly. Like, they have all the sacrifices they need or whatever else they need for it. Set that up. It be in a small town, but the results of what happens in that small town affect the entirety of the world. And there's a book series that I absolutely love by a man named Jack Townsend. And the entire series is called Tales from the Gas Station, and it's volume 1 through 4. Fucking incredible. There is audiobooks, and it's voiced by Mr. Creepypasta. But
Sick.
that whole series is really cool because it's tales of a dude that works at a gas station in the middle of like nowhere at some town, and the gas station itself's on the edge of town, but so much weird shit just happens. And he's like, yeah, and for him, he's just become so numb to it that he's like, whatever, it's just another day.
Yeah.
But like, it hits points where it's like a fucking bug infestation, but the bugs themselves like infest people and take over them. And he's just like, well, all right, we'll figure this out. And it's like, it's fucking cool because he's just a dude and he gets messed up real. He like loses a leg at one point, I'm pretty sure.
Jesus.
But he just keeps going because he's like, well, you know.
Yep.
I work
just another
here.
Day.
Another day in the office.
I fucking love that.
It is so good.
Because, like, gas stations in the middle of buttfuck nowhere in the middle of the night are such liminal fucking spaces.
They're terrifying.
Like, they never feel right. They always hit that uncanny valley kind of thing. Kind of like car parks when they're overly quiet and there's no cars. Like, just something feels unnatural about those spaces. I love that. That's the setting. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's genuinely a fantastic series. I listened to the audiobook, and I think most of it could be on YouTube. I'm not too sure. I know that a bunch of the side stories are, but like, it's just really, really good storytelling. It has really cool stuff in it. When the series finished, I got like actually emotional, but in like a good way, because it was a fantastic series. Yeah, and I think it's because it's like effectively horror comedy, right? With like drama, some like, you know, different things, bit of everything in it. But the comedic moments don't undercut the horror in it. The comedic moments are there to kind of like lighten the mood, but they don't ruin what's going on. Yeah. If anything, they just kind of add like, they add that charm to it.
Yeah, but also it adds that kind of humanism to it, because who of us that aren't super fucking traumatized don't use humor as a coping mechanism to be able to get through that? Exactly. So, like, that's wonderfully done. And it doesn't undermine it. It just, it adds to that experience and makes it a bit more realistic to me as well, if done right.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, doing the paranormal investigations, for example, I found out very quickly that I laugh a lot when I get like mildly scared, but I'm like, if I see something, I just like start giggling, or if I hear something, I'll just start like, because it's just like, for whatever reason, it does that to me. But yeah, I think in general, like, the horror as a genre is something that it's accessible because everyone sees it and feels it differently, and there's so many views to it and so many like mindsets for it that there's always something for everyone in it. And if you just want that deep, super dark, or even like kind of gory stuff, like, you can find that and it'll hit that thing. But if you want it to be more cosmic, if you want it to be more science fiction-y, if you want it to be more supernatural and spiritual, you can find it. Like, exactly.
Or if you're interested in like folk horror being a new kind of emerging thing, well, not really emerging, but like a new subgenre, you can also find that. You can find really down to earth stories, really grandiose stories. You can find ones that you won't be able to sleep or walk past things in the same way that you used to, which I feel like is mostly foreign horror. Fucks me up that deep.
Yeah, it does that.
But I would love to go through different genres with you and be like, we're going to discuss this genre of horror now. Like, that would, I feel like we could talk for hours.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you actually want to, I'd be more than happy to make this into a proper series.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah, let's do it.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, like, in general, across pretty much every medium, there is always something for everyone. And I feel that a lot of people are afraid of approaching horror because it's scary.
Yeah.
But you can always find a foot in, because like for me, growing up, I was a big scaredy cat. I still kind of am. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm a big scared boy.
Yeah, big wuss puss.
Yeah, but like, I'm a teddy bear of a man. You know, I'm soft and
That's
squishy.
true. I can attest.
But in saying that, like, my way in was through books, games, and horror comedy, because it gave an easier approach in. After I got the like intense psychological shit growing up, because like I remember watching like The Entity, which is really fucked up. It's about a ghost that sexually assaults a woman. Like,
whoa,
yeah,
Jesus
it's
Christ.
fucked, right? Like I saw that when I was like 5. I saw like like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and shit used to give me like nightmares and stuff as a child, and Exorcist, things like that. Like, I got terrified of those things, but like Tucker and Dale vs. Evil helped me a ton. A bunch of other movies and a bunch of other games, and like finding that slow way in helped me go full force into it. And now I fucking love it. I watch anything. I mean, short of a few things, I watch everything. Like, but
I feel that.
yeah, because there's definitely some things that I don't want to see anymore.
Yeah. For me, I think personally, like the things that I wouldn't watch in horror, I think don't even belong in the horror genre, which is stuff that is purely shock value. Like, it just reminded me of something somewhat funny. But like, for example, shit like, and I say shit because I think it's shit like a Serbian film, for example. If you're just going in to disturb and shock viewers, you're heading into snuff territory, and that's not horror. That's just disturbing for the sake of being disturbing. And the funny story I need to say about that is Grandma found out that a movie was coming out called a Serbian film, and she got excited and asked me to download it. And I'm like, Grandma, no, it's not what you think. So thankfully she never saw it, but Jesus, fuck me. Yeah,
that was a close call. But like when it comes to shock horror in general has never been... Shock horror and like torture porn are the two areas of horror that I think... Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's an audience for it, but I think they shouldn't be classed in with everything else. Because
like the Hostel movies, too much.
Even like
Terrifier movies, fantastic.
Terrifier movies, more horror.
Exactly.
Hostel is watching people get tortured for like
torture
2
porn.
hours. Yeah. It's the same as like the Saw movies, right? Like, again, first one, it's a thriller.
Yeah.
It is, because it's, second one.
Third one definitely hidden.
Nah.
And then out.
Everything past then is just how can we violently murder people? Like that's...
like the first one gave me energy and the origins of like Seven or The Bone Collector. Like it had that kind of thriller energy to it, which was super interesting.
Yeah.
But heading into torture porn territory, one, it's boring, personally. I think there's only so much of that you can even find interesting, personally, if at all. But at least with the Terrifier films, for example, like the gore it's a bit much for me personally.
It's
I enjoy
lot.
Yeah, I enjoy the humor in it. That's the thing that I enjoy the most. I enjoy the silliness in it sometimes. But the thing that I do enjoy about the gore in it is I see the artistry of the SFX teams going in for the practical effects. I find that amazing. You don't even get that in torture porn films.
Yeah. It's
so what's the point?
It's usually like just underwhelming in a sense in that way. Like it's just... You're just trying to make people uncomfortable by watching someone effectively get tortured, as opposed to... Because, again, like, the Terrifier films are, in my opinion, a horror comedy. It's like...
For sure.
They're really fucking goofy. They're really funny. But, like, yeah, there are certain shots and certain parts of it that definitely make me uneasy, but also, like,
Yeah.
you can kind of get past it. But when something is taking itself very seriously, doing the exact same thing, it's not enjoyable. Again, like the Human Centipede films I spoke about earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like, the first one is barely passable. Barely. It's still fucked, but it's barely.
Yeah.
The second one onward, are like, why do these exist? They literally should not exist. They're not good films. They're not entertaining. They're just fucked up and gross.
Yeah. Like I wonder if because like horror films, like if we go back into like the 70s and we have like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that was shocking for the viewers. But it wasn't shocking for the same reason things like Human Centipede 2 and onwards or Hostel is shocking now. The medium has changed, sure, but like, are they trying to replicate that?
That's the thing but we can go back and watch the original Chainsaw Massacre and be like, I still see the artistry in this, right? I still understand the story that's trying to be told. Like, it may be shocking, but there is still a story there.
Yeah.
A lot of these other films, there's a story, but it basically consists of, here are people that get kidnapped, now watch them get tortured. Like, it's not... It's not really a story so much as it is a thing that lets you just watch the... It's like story and pornography.
Yeah, I was fucking about to say. I've seen better storytelling in porn.
But, like, the story in porn is there to get you to the porn. It's not...
Yeah.
It's not there to actually entertain you, right? Like,
yeah. But even that has better linear storytelling sometimes. Like, this lady
tends to
put something down the sink and now it's blocked. She can't do her dishes, dog. She had to call a plumber and now there's a plumber here. Like, I'm invested in this lady's home fucking maintenance. Like, at least there's more in that.
Yeah, like, so, fuck, oh my god.
Sorry, that was a weird tangent.
No, it's totally fine. But yeah, like, there's a lot of things that I feel need to change, but also there's a lot of films that can do, like, gory, can do violent, can do those things, and still work in the film and in the sense of the film, and not take away from it. And while it gives you that shock, it still has you in the film, but it's not. Yeah. Because, like, there's a movie, it's technically an action film. It's like a crime drama thriller action called Brawl in Cell Block 99, right? And that's like, it has some fucking violent scenes in it. I won't say the ending in case anyone wants to watch it. But like, the entire ending sequence is basically just like fucked. And it's all practical effects, so it looks very real when people are doing it. But it's there because
it's serving a purpose.
That's the thing. It's there because the story, it fits in it. Or in a way, it kind of demands that, right? Yeah. But it's not... It's not as, I guess, shocking in a way. Like, it's not... Yeah. It's not there just to shock you. It's there. It serves the purpose. It moves on. Yeah. Like, it's shocking, but the whole point of it isn't to be shocking. Yeah. It's a byproduct of something that fits in the story. Like, again, coming back to Ari Aster, like, you've got Hereditary and then you've got, like, Midsummer. There are two scenes in that in particular that those who have seen it would know that I'm referring to that are shocking, but it is very much part of the story. It's not there for the sake of being there. Yeah. And then you even have, and you don't even need to do it through graphic visual storytelling. You could even do it like, I think, Oldboy, particularly the Korean version. I don't know if the American one ever even happened, but in Oldboy, the ending is quite a shocking ending, and it's not violent or grandiose in a visual sense. It's just when this plan and series of events have been revealed, you feel sick to your stomach because it is shocking, and I think that's brilliant storytelling. You can do it that way too. Yeah. I mean, another example, because I have it not open, but it's off to the side here. Fuck, I just lost it. Smile, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. There are scenes in it that will shock you. There are scenes in it that are fucking horrific, but none of it feels jarring or pulls you out because it still fits within the story that is being told. But there's also a story being told, and there is undercurrents and other elements to it, and there's like a meaning underneath everything that is part of it. And it's not just, here, look at these like fucking gross scenes that are going to get clipped because we know they'll get clipped. It's here is a story. Here's some scenes that might be shocking, but they still serve the purpose that they're trying to serve. They're not. Yeah,
it's not an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I always still think of the dude ripping his fucking face apart and just being like 17 jaws.
Yeah, that was. I still remember seeing that, and I was just like, "That's a silly monster," but I loved it. I fucking love that. And the second one, I wasn't expecting much, but I also love that.
I still haven't seen it. I've actually been meaning to. I keep putting it off because I was going to watch it with someone, and then it just doesn't line up. And
That's fair. I will not spoil it, but I do recommend watching it.
I will.
It leads me because this came out at the same time, and like I initially refused to watch it because it just looked so stupid. And to be fair, the premise is stupid. But it was Trap with Josh Hartnett, and it's an M. Night Shyamalan film. Did you see it?
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was the dumbest thing, but then the way that, like, okay, it wasn't good, but it was creative.
Okay.
I give him that.
I will say that, yes, it is creative. However, fuck, it was so bad.
Josh Hartnett being like, I'm a good dad. I'm a serial killer now. It's like, why are you doing...
Oh, my God.
I love that. It was so camp.
There was a movie that came out before that. I'm trying to remember the name. From
Shyamalan or...
Yeah, it's from Shyamalan. It's The Visit? Yeah, The Visit. Have you seen The Visit?
The Visit? One sec, let me quickly look it up. No, I haven't seen The Visit. I did see The Watchers, which I think was Shyamalan's daughter's film. Yeah. Which I liked. I do think it was half-cooked, but, like, I have hope for their work moving forward. Okay. But no, I haven't seen The Visit.
So, The Visit is both a good and bad film. Because the premise of it is fantastic. It really is. Some of the execution in it, really well done. And it gives a sense to it that feels like, yes, not only could this happen, but also the fact that it's happening is kind of fucked up. Oh. But, so I'll give you the basic line, which is some kids go to visit their grandparents. They find out their grandparents are not their grandparents.
Yeah. Sorry, I just remembered that as you were saying that. And I'm like, Yep.
Yeah. It's both good and bad because, again, there are aspects of the film that are dog shit. Like, so fucking bad. And there's some parts that will really take you out. But then, again, the premise of it is fantastic. It's like, have you seen The Taking of Deborah Logan?
No.
Okay, another one, fantastic. It is a documentary team that is effectively like following this woman that has Alzheimer's and her descent into that. However, I always
wanted to see this.
Yes. However, there is supernatural aspects in the story. And it is both a good and bad film.
Fantastic.
Because it is kind of slow, and then when shit happens, it's like, what the fuck? Okay, what's happening? And then shit keeps happening, and it's like, all right, cool. But I like it. I think it's pretty good. It definitely isn't like top tier, but it has some scenes in it that are fucking terrifying.
Hell yeah. It's like
and it's all
Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. And I also enjoyed that it just had a bleak ending.
Yes. That's what I was actually going to say. I actually really like the ending of it. I also love Brian Cox. So.
Yeah.
But I didn't like aspects of it, but I do like the film itself.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely some parts of it I thought were a bit dumb. But
Yeah.
but it's still it was still good. I still really
Yeah.
liked it.
My weirdest thing that I like latched onto and was like, I don't like that, was the choice of plants in the morgue, because I'm like, there is not enough light for that specific plant to be flourishing in that spot, and it's not plastic. Who the fuck did this set? And I'm like, that's a really weird hill to die on. But here I am.
I mean, it is a hill that is there and is quite large. So I do understand it.
But it's just me putting more dirt onto it to turn this tiny mound into a hill,
though. No, but like, even that, for example, right, has aspects of that, like witchcraft, like we were speaking of before.
Yeah.
And it's done in a way that, like, kind of makes sense, but is also, like, kind of dumb.
Yeah. It's very goofy when you think about it deeper than the surface level of the story.
Yeah, but in saying that, it is still, I still quite liked it. Yeah, I thought it was really well done in the sense of, like, visually how story was being told, how things looked, the like practical effects that were done in it as well.
Yeah.
Like, it looks fantastic. And yeah, I mean, I like the story. I think it's pretty cool. Plus, the fact that it had a kind of mystery to it, I think really always draws me in. Because mystery is one of those things that I feel is very important in certain types of horror. And especially when it comes to, I guess, supernatural-based horror or...
Yeah.
You know, because you want that, like, bit of mystery in there that, like... Because then you want to keep finding out what's going on until you find out.
Exactly. It's that hook.
Yeah. But I hate when they give you that hook, but then just, like, it doesn't lead anywhere or it's immediately answered. And it's like, why the fuck am I now watching the movie? I already know the answer to the question. Like,
there was a film I watched again around 2005 or 2006-ish, and it had, I think it was Robert De Niro and Dakota Fanning, and it was called Hide and Seek. And I remember as a young teen being super excited for this film because it looked like a supernatural horror. There was an entity in the house, and it was, bad things were happening, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sorry for those listening, but I will spoil it because it's shit. And you shouldn't watch it. I've lost you.
Oh, I think my camera just died.
Oh. Oh no, we've been yapping for so long. I'll finish my point, which is you throughout the film are led to believe it's some supernatural scary thing, and Dakota Fanning's acting as a child, particularly in this film, is phenomenal. Who the fuck gave her the right to be that talented? Still talented now, but like still blew my mind. And then it comes to when the big reveal happens, and I hate it for two reasons that will be very obvious. One, it didn't turn out to be supernatural at all. It was the dad because he's schizophrenic.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, that's so shit. That is so shit. Like, it could have been the dad, and I would have taken it to a degree, but the moment they threw in the demonization of a mental health thing, and it's not even the right one. They were depicting a completely different disorder, and then they called it schizophrenia. And I'm just like, and they also revealed it too early. I think they should have waited a lot later. I'm pretty sure it was revealed in the final act, but they could have left it way to the end. Like, fucking, not Mirrors, like Oculus revealed that they were tricked by the demon much closer to the end of the film. I think, like, really late reveals in horror work really well because it adds to the hopelessness. But if it's too early, then you need to be really careful because you'll tread into, like, action hero territory, and the genre will shift because all of a sudden there's hope, and then someone rises to that hope, they have a happy ending. But if it's revealed early, people rise to that hope, and then it ends. You could have a super bleak ending with it, everybody just dying at that peak point where you think it's going to be a happy ending, and that could be done really well, but often it isn't. Sorry, now I'm rambling.
No, that's fine.
You got me monologuing, you sly dog, you.
Haha, you fell for my trap. No, but I mean, like, again, going back to especially earlier conversation that we had where it came to building that suspense and holding that suspense and holding that. For me, there was, have you seen Don't Breathe?
Yes. One sec. If it's the one that I think it is, give me
About the blind dude, people breaking into the house.
Oh, no. I was thinking of fucking Don't Speak. No, that's a No Doubt song. I was thinking of Dead Silence.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that one, actually. Puppets. Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
There.
So,
it's goofy.
So Don't Breathe is basically about a bunch of people that break into a house, and the guy that lives there is a blind dude, but he's like, I don't know, fucking insane or some shit. I can't really say without spoiling the entirety of the movie, and I feel like I might actually enjoy it. But that whole movie,
I think I will.
Yeah, that whole movie is actually very suspenseful, and it kind of holds that tension really, really well. Because the thing is, it sets something up, and it kind of pays it off pretty quick. But
nice.
The payoff itself is not the end of the suspense. It's actually the like apex of it, and then it starts to like plateau. So it hits that point of like, oh, it seems like this is just going to be like, whatever. But then shit just starts getting like more and more intense. And it's really, really good, honestly. I actually quite liked it. I didn't think I'd like it because I remember seeing the trailer for it and I'm like, it's going to be kind of stupid.
Yeah, like, that's part of the reason why I've always skipped the film, because I looked at the trailer and I'm like, no.
Trailer doesn't do it any justice. And honestly, I'm kind of glad it doesn't, but I'm also glad wish it did, sorry. Because it's one of those things that I have a huge gripe with trailers because they always give away so much of the fucking movie, especially nowadays.
Yeah, or misrepresent it completely. Like,
that's the problem this had.
Fucking Drag Me to Hell. Love that film. So many people hated it because they were expecting a serious horror walking into it, not a horror comedy. So, like, the trailer definitely betrayed it in that sense.
It was basically a black comedy. Like, it was... Yeah.
It was so funny.
It was. I don't think it was meant to be entirely, but it was. It really was.
That's fair. But the scene with the goat going, you bitch, you just killed me. I'm just like...
But, like, I love that movie as well has, like, other subtext that you can pull from it.
Yeah.
Because, like, in a way, it's about, like, eating disorders as well. And, like, a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, shit.
Like, if you approach it with that mindset and you think about it, like, it kind of is in a way. But also, it's broad enough that you could kind of approach it with any mindset and it be about that thing in a way.
That's sick. I do like that.
So that's why I like it. But yeah, I mean, I kind of like that about a lot of films, honestly. Plus, Dragging to Hell was one of those things that, especially as it builds towards the ending, it's not really what you expect to happen.
Yeah. And again, I like that it's not a happy ending.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm watching a horror movie, I don't expect a happy ending. I mean, a fucking melancholy ending? Sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like an ambiguous one, like, are they really safe?
Yeah. Or like...
That being said, that movie made me scared of buttons for a very long time. If I saw a fucking button on the ground, I'm like, keep that fucking thing away from me.
Understandable.
Yeah. Have you seen Late Night with the Devil?
I fucking love that movie.
Yes!
I have gone through frame by frame to find every single sighting of that woman.
Yeah?
I'm not even joking.
I need to do that. Oh, that's sick as fuck.
So, actually...
all the Easter eggs in that film are phenomenal. Or, like, hidden details, rather.
As someone who went to watch it in the theaters the day it came out, because my friends were also excited for it, we were so excited for it that when we went, and we were so just beautifully surprised, and it was fucking phenomenal. And we all noticed the bit where they're having the interview, and it, like, you can see her face on the table.
Yeah,
See that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh damn, I need to go back and watch it. And then like I picked up on a couple other ones, and watching it back, she's in that movie so much, and you don't realize it. She is in the intro sequence of that movie, and you won't notice it. I'm going to find this image, and I'm going to send it to you.
Please.
Because it is from the first probably 10 minutes, not even. Like first 5 minutes of the movie. And if you know where to look, she's right fucking there.
Ooh, I've got chills, dude. Oh, one sec, my headset.
Yeah.
Just my headphones died. One sec, let me just switch to
message.
One sec. Da. Where are you? Okay. Oh fuck, I need to change it in Discord. Shit.
Okay, so I sent you as a DM on Discord.
Headset. Okay. I should be able to hear you now.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yay!
Yeah. I sent you as a DM in Discord.
Sick. I gotta see this.
Live reaction, everybody.
All right.
Okay.
Oh my god, she's right fucking there? Oh my god, she's right fucking there! That's 6'4", my sorry, so, I'm not even using words.
It's totally fine. So I went through that entire film, frame by frame, looking for every single spotting I could. That was the last one I found. Because I would not have expected her to be so early in the film.
Yeah. I love that shit, and I love that shit because you get it so often in horror, and it's fantastic.
And there's technically two of the
Literal
same
chills.
spotting in that movie, where it's a sequence. You know when they play back the clip?
Yeah.
Yeah. The same thing is in it, again, but stronger the second time.
Oh.
So it's really fucking... Like, I gush over that film. I follow every single person that worked on it now.
Hell yeah.
I've, like, both myself and a friend of mine have actually, like, spoken to some of the people that have worked on it. And
that's sick.
It is... They loved working on that film because of every single aspect that was put into that film. Like,
fuck yeah.
The entirety
so
of
much
it,
love went into that film, and it shows, man.
That's the thing. Like, every single aspect of it was purely done out of love and enjoyment of what they were doing. And even the, like, practical effects, and, like, they look goofy, but fuck me, are they effective.
Yeah, like the fucking the head, or like the worm.
The worm got me. Oh my god. Oh,
brilliant.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it's so visceral. Like, goofy, yes, but you still get such a visceral reaction watching it.
It is hands down probably one of my favorite horror movies I've seen in the last decade or so. Like,
yeah, man.
It is. And I have so much appreciation for it because, again, like, it's a small budget film. It wasn't like huge. It didn't get much attention. It didn't get much thing. But fucking...
I'm shocked that it didn't get that much attention because it was phenomenal.
It was one of those things that it just didn't get either the advertising or the word of mouth and love that it deserved until it had already come out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but no, like, genuinely that whole film is fucking phenomenal, and I've seen it probably a dozen times now, and I still love watching that movie.
Fuck yeah.
But
I need to watch it again just cause, but also now because I want to keep an eye out more. But, like, it was fantastic. I very much hope, and I don't think I need to hope too hard. I think it's going to be guaranteed to have a cult following that film because it is too phenomenal not to.
It's kind of already getting to that point, which is good. Yeah. I'm glad, but I think it just needs... Like, honestly, in a couple more years, there's just going to be a huge fan base for it. And I'm glad that everything that is touched on in that movie is touched on because it's really fucking cool. Like, anyone out there that hasn't seen it, please, please, please go watch. Like,
absolutely. I'm begging as well, both of us.
It is hands down one of the best films I've seen in a very long time. Honestly, the best films, in my opinion, of every genre that I have now or I have seen in the last few years have been more towards an independent or smaller budget films.
Yeah.
One of the best comedies I've ever seen is called Hundreds of Beavers, and that came out recently.
Sounds fantastic.
It is so fucking funny. It's goofy as hell, and it's great. But yeah, that, like, Late Night with the Devil, there's been a bunch of other films that are just so fucking good. But yeah, like, that's, again, going back to what I was saying before, I love that independent stuff because they take those chances. They do something that no one else would have done. Because fuck
Sorry,
me.
I just looked up Hundreds of Beavers. Did not expect this. Like, the poster, the star. This is sick. I love this shit.
The whole, it's really funny because there's one scene in it where they're like, it's like a snowboard chase kind of thing, or like a sled chase. But in one of the shots, there's just like a for sale sign for the property that's in the background. It is so funny.
Live for that shit. Oh my god.
The worst part is this movie was made in 2020, or put out, sorry, in 2022.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about it until last year, like
damn,
a month before we went to go see it, because it had one screening. It's now, I think, it's on SBS On Demand now, and 100% go watch it. It is fucking hilarious. It is like it's slapstick. It's old school comedy, so it's like it's perfect. And I love that. It had a budget of $150,000. And made 1.1 so far in the box office, and is every now and then at like independent theaters still having screenings, and it makes me very fantastic. Happy. It makes me very happy.
The mention of the slapstick comedy and not hearing of it until seeing it come out reminds me of this film that my housemate forced me to watch because I saw the poster and I was not fucking interested whatsoever. But I'm glad I watched it because it is unexpectedly brilliant. That being said, I don't know if it's me reading into things too deeply, but I feel like you should read into it deeply because it's fantastic. And it's Crazy House with fucking what's his name? It's not Nick Frost, it's the other guy. No, it is Nick Frost. Nick Frost is in it. Alicia Silverstone is in it. It is a Dutch film set as a 1990s sitcom.
Yes. Yeah. I've been meaning to check this out.
Yeah, it's fucked. It is so fucked. It is, I think, a small budget Dutch film, but it's a horror comedy that travels through so many different genres, but the payoff is phenomenal. And honestly, I'm recommending it because if it wasn't for the payoff, I would have been upset watching this film. But like the way it ties everything together, it's fantastic. It's goofy, it's slapstick, it's stupid in some places, but it's worth at least seeing once.
Oh no, I'm adding it to the list of movies that I watch with a bunch of folks. So yep.
Hell yeah. I've been adding the ones that you've been mentioning as well, and I'm like, I'm going to watch all of these. I'm very excited.
Like, honestly, I very much believe take chances on some weird movies that like you wouldn't normally, because fuck me, some of it is gold. It is so good, but you just have to
even
take
if
that
it's
chance.
shithouse, you're still expanding your perceptions of things. Like
100%.
Yeah,
like you never know. You're gonna find something like any of the movies that we mentioned today. I mean, if you enjoy like Eldritch stuff, another fantastic one is called In the Mouth of Madness. Came out in 94, has Sam Neill. Fucking phenomenal. But like that, what I would class towards like still low budget, but like a little bit larger.
I think it sits in that mid-budget range.
Yeah,
which has since been eradicated by modern cinema, I think. But yeah,
and it phenomenal film. If you like that as well, The Void is another one. I want to. God damn it, we're never going to finish this podcast. I want to talk about one particular film that came out recently that kind of pissed me off.
Ooh, I'm interested.
And it's called Heretic.
Oh my my God. Okay, wait. I need to crack a fresh can of Red Bull, but I'm fucking ready. Give me a second. Holy shit.
Yeah. Little editor's note here. We're going on about a 20-minute rant talking about Heretic. So if you don't want the movie spoiled for you, again, last chance. Otherwise, skip forward roughly 20 minutes and you should be good. Perfect timing.
Holy shit.
All right. So, have you seen Heretic?
Yes, I have.
What did you think?
Finally, I think we're going to have differing opinions.
Okay. But I take it you think it was good, right?
I wouldn't go that far. I did enjoy it. I will forever live with the memory of Hugh Grant doing a Jar Jar Binks impression.
Yeah.
That's when I'm in the retirement home, that's the only lasting memory I'm going to have.
All right.
There were reasons why I liked it, and there were reasons why I was very disappointed because my expectations were a little different. Mm-hmm. But please.
All right. I am going to put an editor's note here. If you haven't seen Heretic and you're interested in watching the film, go watch the film. The reviews and the things that you hear here are our opinions, and I'm going to spoil the fuck out of the film because I need to talk about it. Okay. Now, all right, you've had enough time to skip ahead. The fucking ending of the movie is just abuse. And I hate it so much because the film sets up so many amazing things to talk about, right? Like thoughts on religion, on different religions. Yes, the idea of certain religions and how he puts them in the film is entirely incorrect. Doesn't matter. It is what it is. All right. It's the Cliff Notes version, which kind of makes me upset because the guy seems to be smart enough to do enough research into it to talk shit about it.
Like, it could have been such an interesting conversation that happened in the film.
Exactly.
And then it was that.
And instead, it's just fucking played for laughs, but it's not even funny. Now, because, like, don't get me wrong, right? Again, my personal point of view, I'm very anti-Judeo-Christian beliefs.
Yes.
Because I personally feel and believe that they are more detrimental than assistive. However, what you wish to believe is 100% your own choice. What I wish to believe is my own as well. Now, the film itself touches on that. Fantastic, great, but then it doesn't go deep enough. And then it mentions other religions, like, glancingly, and then almost as, like, basic shit, and not... And then, again, like, moving through, there's all these fucking twists and all this, like, shit, but none of it is deserved. None of it is earned. None of it is, like... And then, again, the ending is literally just, I kidnap and abuse people. That's the ultimate religion, is fucking manipulation. And I'm like, okay, cool. What the fuck, dude? Like, but yes.
That's exactly why I was disappointed. That was the disappointing elements. I agree with you wholeheartedly because one of the things, particularly during that point in time, that lined up coincidentally quite well was I was getting very interested in learning about, so different pantheons, but learning and trying to, like, decolonize myself with different pantheons in particular. So I was looking up all the pantheons and I was learning about, initially started with, like, the Lesser Key of Solomon and the Goetia, Goetic demons and stuff like that, but then learning that was actually just a really old pantheon that was demonized by Christianity, and that this is, like, things going back to older civilizations that were then demonized by new colonial beliefs, really. And I thought the film was going to go in that direction, and I was expecting a really interesting take on, and, like, it disappointed me so much because it touched so briefly on, like, the Babylonian kind of Mesopotamian, I think, beliefs. Yeah, of, like, Inanna and Urshingal and the story of that. And I love that story. And I thought it was going to go in that direction and get really interesting. And then it just didn't. And I was like, what? You edged me. You left me with blue balls here. What's happening?
Yep.
And that was quite upsetting. And I do hate that it was just manipulation and lies. I felt that was quite cheap in the way it was delivered. Like, and this may be a poor comparison, but I feel a film that did that better, and bear with me here, is Get Out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that, much better.
100%.
Hugh Grant, love that he's in his villain era. Fantastic. But yeah, the fucking reveal that it's just a bunch of ladies in his basement.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? I'll get back to what we hate because it's so much more of a passionate conversation. But what I did enjoy was, much like Speak No Evil, it had the commentary of how ridiculous politeness and expected politeness is in Western society when you are in fucking danger.
Yes.
Where any warning sign or instinct you feel of this isn't right, you ignore because you're trying to be polite. And if I didn't understand that as a concept, I would have been much more frustrated with the two girls in the film. But that is because my upbringing was not that. My upbringing was very much, if you sense that you're in danger, shiv them before they shiv you and run. Like,
hey, it's a good way to live.
Yeah, I come from a family who like grew up during wartime in the Balkans. Like, we're not going to be polite for the sake of being polite. It's survival trauma. But what I did find interesting was the depiction of the girls and the Mormon practice of going out on your mission and how fucked that is, because they get put in such dangerous fucking situations unprepared.
Yep.
Like, this world isn't a nice world. Like, she gets dacked by a bunch of kids in the first few scenes. Like, that's already setting up the fact that they're not equipped for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But also, and I learned this from an ex-Mormon woman's and ex-missionaries TikTok series, actually, she was talking about her mission and her experience in the church and how it was, my cat's giving me kisses, and how during your mission, if you die, that's a good thing. That's your mission. If you die, you're a soldier of God, and you should expect that that's a possibility.
Yep.
And that is so fucked up.
Yeah.
But also, like, one, I already hate the pushing of their religion. Two, I hate that they put these people in these situations as well, and it's mostly women.
Yes. Yep.
But yeah, so that depiction was probably the only thing I quite enjoyed in the film. The rest was quite disappointing.
Yeah. Like, I mean, as someone who has done a lot of research into a lot of different religions and different pantheons and different understandings, because, again, like, I grew up technically Roman Catholic, but not really, because, again, we practice Santeria and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I grew up Catholic. I went to church, all that stuff. I was that until about 18, 19. So around the age of like 20 is when I started properly like searching into myself and figuring out what was for me and what wasn't. And I found that I was not only not Catholic, but like was very opposed to it. And I became closer towards Buddhist and Taoist beliefs, and I explored that, and I found that, and that became a place for peace for me. And then like I loved learning into, you know, different religions and different cultures and different things. And so when a guy in this movie is basically giving incorrect information, trying to appear as intelligent, it just kind of threw me off immediately, and I'm like, okay, so the person who wrote this clearly hasn't spent more than like 5 minutes researching these religions, huh? Because like a lot of what he said was wrong in that film from like the actual understanding of those religions, but he doesn't mention those. And then he brings up like Hinduism and stuff, but he doesn't understand. Like, again, it's from a surface level understand. It's like 2 seconds of Googling level of information, not actually looking into the thing. Yeah. And then, like, it infuriated me. Like, because, like, don't get me wrong, right? I consider myself to be of very average intelligence. I am by no means exceptional. I fucking failed in a lot of things in school, and I did really well in a lot of things in school. I learned way more outside of school because I enjoyed learning it. But if I can find out information...
Like, this dude portrays himself as a fucking scholar and an academic. This is, like, meant to be peak knowledge. Yeah. And he's getting the basics wrong.
Yeah. And I'm like, bro, like, I get it. Again, someone else wrote this. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Don't kind fucking of like depict your character as that intelligent. It would be like...
If you can't write an intelligent character, don't do it that way in particular. Like... There are different ways.
Like, it pissed me off. And then again, like, later in the film, because he sets up so much stuff, and the payoff is just abuse. And kidnapping and abuse. And I'm like, okay, so what you're saying is the true religion is what, like slavery? Is that it? Is that what you're saying it is? Because, like, you've kidnapped... See, I find that,
I find that interesting because my... take is a little my takeaway, I don't think it was at all what the film was meant to say, but my takeaway was like, my suspension of disbelief of this man being this character existing was quite high, because like I've encountered so many white dudes so overconfident in their incorrect knowledge that I'm just like, yeah, I can see this happening. I can see some dumb cunt using all of this misunderstanding to justify his own psychosis, essentially. Yeah. And the true religion is a crazy white man is dangerous. Like that's...
Yeah. It's like, again, like...
I mean, naturally, I'm going to have this reaction. It's my natural predator in this world.
I mean, it's a fair thing to be... I'm just saying, you know, opposing predators fighting, you know?
Yeah. The high likelihood of both of us being killed by a white dude, it's the Venn diagram's there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just...
Yeah. No.
It's a hot take, but I'm taking it.
It's fine.
It's not actually that hot. It's just like room temperature, but...
lukewarm. No, like, in general, this film... like the trailers and everything, and even again, like the first probably like half hour of the movie sets itself up to be something that it is not. And it just pissed me off because like none of what could have been was. None of what
it could have been such an interesting film. Like, it didn't even need to be horror. Like, you could have taken away the fucking weird slavery thing and all of that shit, and you could have just had a really interesting story.
And, like, even if you wanted it to be a horror and you wanted to go roughly down that route, you could genuinely have just made him, like... actually fucking psycho and think that he was like a messiah for something else, right?
Yes.
Or some other thing, like put more into it than just, oh no, I just like kidnapping and fucking torturing women.
Yeah.
Like, cool. Thanks, bro.
Yeah. Original.
Yeah.
Like, I would have found it interesting if, and this is probably a stretch, I'm by no means a storyteller in my own right, but if it had a different angle, if it was instead of I torture these people, but instead you could have had a story where he breaks these people's belief systems so much that they start believing his, and you end up having a cult situation.
Yeah.
The reveal could have been they're finally released and they can leave, but they've got the choice of leaving and going back into a world that they no longer believe in, or they can stay with a cult that now share these beliefs because they've been brainwashed.
Yeah.
And that would have been at least interesting to me, because I feel like if you're put under such psychological duress, it isn't a big stretch to have your belief system rocked that badly that you're traumatized and come out different.
Yeah.
But it was none of that.
It was ultimately a huge letdown. Yeah. I don't get what they were trying to go for. Like, I don't get, because again, like the whole first act of the film sets up something that the rest of the movie isn't. And I have that issue. There's a few other movies that I've watched of late that have kind of had that problem where it feels so disconnected from what the actual movie is compared to what it's trying to present itself as, or what it tries to set up. And I fucking hate it. Like, it just feels like someone wrote the first chunk of the movie and then was like, where the fuck do we go from here? I'm out of ideas. I don't know. Let's roll a dice and just pick a number, like call it that. Oh yeah, fuck it, let's do that thing now. And then it just like,
it's a crazy white dude, let's go.
Yeah, because like I may cop some flack for this off the horror topic for one film, but like a recent one that came out was Mickey 17. I didn't like it.
I haven't seen that yet. You can spoil it, it's fine.
I'm not going to spoil it.
Well, the thing that I've been told is that people went in expecting one thing, but the film ended up being something that they didn't even see coming. So I'm like, okay.
Yes, that, but not in a good way.
Oh.
For me, it felt like three disconnected things.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it sets up something really interesting. Doesn't pay it off.
Bugger.
The second act feels like an entire different story. The third act feels like an entire different story. And they've all been like bolted together and called a film. Yeah. Oh. Like it let me down.
So it's no Snowpiercer, I would say.
No. Definitely not a Snowpiercer. And again, like there's a lot of movies the guy's made.
Yeah.
Like the director, writer of that film. He's made a lot of movies. I don't want to butcher his name because off the top of my head I can't remember it.
It's one sec. Because
Bong Joon-ho, I think.
Yeah, Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah.
No, I butchered it. Anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
A wonderful South Korean filmmaker.
Incredible. I love a lot of his films, if not every single one, except for this one.
Fair. Well, hey, like you're going to have a dud.
Exactly. But I feel like this one was just a huge letdown considering everything else he's made. Because, like...
Yeah. I didn't realize he did Okja. That was a fantastic film.
Yeah. One of my favorites is one of his first, called The Host.
I didn't watch that because I thought it was based on the Stephanie Meyer book, The Host.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Okay, sick. I might actually watch it now.
It is fantastic. It's of its time. Like a lot of the things in it look very dated, but it's a fantastic film. And while it feels like two films put together, it doesn't, like, it's not two films put together. You get what I mean? Like it's two stories that one story leads into the other story.
Sick. So it's got that cohesion there.
Yeah, as opposed to that one. And again, like opposed to Heretic, where it...
I was going to say as well, like, I feel like with creators like Bong Joon-ho and the other film that you were just talking about just now, they're also, I would want to throw into the mix like Jordan Peele as well, where like these are films that have a message. They have very much something to say. They have a commentary and it's quite poignant. And it's often from a perspective that people like myself, for example, would never think of initially because I'm, not of those demographics. And that's what I find fascinating. But I feel like Heretic attempted social commentary, but ultimately had nothing to say.
Yeah. See, I feel like as far as like this goes, when it comes to, I think there is such a strong like not wanting to be anti-Judeo-Christian religion in cinema that they're afraid of touching on something that might push people away from that.
Yeah.
Which I feel is unfair considering how much they do it with every other culture. But again, that's the story they want to tell. It's not for me to fucking tell them otherwise. But I think because they were afraid of that or they didn't want to do that, they didn't go as hard in this film as they should have with that.
Yeah. They
message.
chickened out, essentially.
Exactly. But like if you look at Get Out, Us, Nope, any of those films, they all have a very overarching like sense of race to them.
Yeah.
And Jordan Peele goes fucking hard with it.
He fucking does.
He committed to it. And I think that that's very important when you're creating these things. Like,
so there's one film that I believe Jordan Peele, I don't know if he wrote or just produced.
Is it Keanu? Sorry, Keanu?
No, it's
really funny.
Okay. I do want to watch that because Keanu Reeves also voices the cat, which is fantastic. Okay, I know Jordan Peele was involved somehow. I may be completely fucking wrong, or maybe he mentioned it in a fucking interview. I don't know. Because now that I'm looking at it, the director and the producers and the screenplay do not have his name anywhere on it. But look, in the very least, it reminds me of a Jordan Peele film, and it is called The American Society of Magical Negroes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, which I've mentioned to friends, and one, they freak out when I say the title, and I'm like, it's okay, I too freak out when I say the title. But it's not that word, I don't think.
It's not.
Thank you. But I love that it touches on that trope of the magical black person.
I just want to say really funny. All right. I went to Google the name of the title.
Yeah.
And the first result was the Society of Magical Black People. That was the search result. So clearly, but I don't understand.
I'm not the only person who panics at trying to be respectful and accidentally takes a sharp right when attempting it. Fucking hell. Anyway, but it's an amazing film. I love that it touches on that trope. I love that it subverts it, and I love the message of it. And I found it poignant. I'm looking at it now, and it's only got like 2.4 as a rating, which I think is a crime.
Yeah.
Like again, it's not a masterpiece, but it was a good film. It was enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, I think again that rating comes from it has to be the greatest thing in the world, or oh my god, this is the worst thing, and anyone that likes it should kill themselves.
Yeah.
Because the mentality has always been that. Like every movie that's come out of late has always been like Smile 2. I remember hearing someone be like, "Oh my god, it's the greatest horror movie I've ever seen."
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's fucking not, all right? I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's really good. But it's not. Like if I asked you your top 5, it wouldn't be in there. I guarantee.
No, fuck no. Yeah. But also, like, it's not like a fucking To Kill a Mockingbird or like fucking Schindler's List of horror films. Like, I'm not. Sorry, that was fucking tuna on my chair. But like, these people need to be introduced to something I struggle with, which is called emotional regulation.
Yeah. It's just, you can't be too extreme with it, because like there's again, but in a scale of 1 to 10,
there's so many numbers in between, man.
2 to 9 in between. Like you don't have to do a 1 or a 10. Like
exactly. And you like have to break down the things that you enjoyed about it. Like for example, I was excited. Now, fucking hear me out. Okay,
it's gonna be a monster fucking conversation. I can already feel it.
It's got that energy, but it's not. I promise. But I was excited for the new Crow movie that came out.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was excited. I didn't like the idea that it was like a retcon sequel kind of thing. Pick one, Jesus. But I went into it knowing every single Crow movie after the first one has been bad. They have objectively been fucking terrible. Have I enjoyed them? Abso-fucking-lutely. Will I watch them over and over again? Abso-fucking-lutely. Do I love Danny Trejo doing the crow dance for some bizarre reason that makes no sense in Wicked Prayer? Also, I think it was Wicked Prayer, but anyway. And then I watched the new one, and it was so abysmally bad. The story was awful. I despised every second I was there. I dragged a bunch of friends to go see it. And I was, the entire time when we were going in, I'm like, guys, be prepared. It's going to be shit, but we're going to have a great time. We didn't even have a great time. It was just so bad. And then, like, and when I say bad, I mean, like, the story. My cats are fighting behind the green screen, so that's what's happening. But the story was fucking awful. They bastardized it terribly. They tried to introduce different things, which was awful. The visual storytelling was also really bad because it was doing that thing where it would continue zooming in on this particular jacket. And it's like, the audience isn't that stupid, dog. We know he's going to be wearing the trench coat. You don't have to zoom into it 5 times. Or every single time it was doing that thing where a female love interest dies and they're doing the like, I'm remembering her as a beautiful woman. So she's like underneath a blanket or behind a curtain and it's that dreamy lighting. And it's like, please stop. That being said, I will still give it a 3 or 4 out of 10. I will never watch it again as long as I live. The reason why I say that is because when you're giving a rating, I believe you have to take so many different things into consideration. Enjoyability, the soundtrack. The soundtrack is partially what's bumping that up. The story knocks it down to a fucking abysmal negative number. The performance of the actors, how natural does the dialogue seem, or how natural does the dialogue feel and how it's written, but also like the cinematography and the shots. Like, I despise this film, but I will give credit where credit is due. There are some scenes that are filmed beautifully. I hate it. But like, damn, this one particular scene, which I think was like a fight scene where he finally like gives in to his crow powers and he's not eating shit every fight like he is most of the time.
Jesus.
But it turns like, and it's kind of funny because it turns into like a 13-year-old's AMV that they've made and posted on YouTube where the music beats are in time with every sword hit and gunfire, but also he has a katana for some reason. And he's got a trench coat and he's like walking up these stairs like some fucking anime character from 2005. And I'm like, what is happening?
That shit, Jesus Christ.
It's so bad, but that sequence was shot very well. It's upsetting.
Oh, good. I get you though. I get you. Yeah. I mean, there was a co-ed prison where all of their jumpsuits were pink for some reason. Like, I fuck with that little Nas X aesthetic, but like, what? Why? Oh, God. Yeah, look, again, I get it. I do. Because, like, so a movie I watched recently would be Pitch Black, right? I rewatched Pitch Black.
Oh, my God, with Vin Diesel.
Yeah, Riddick film.
Yeah, dog.
I really love them. That first one really is like a horror action movie, and it does it really
that
well.
Was so interesting too, particularly when it came out. It was unique.
It was, and it even now it still holds up really, really well. I would actually give that a pretty solid rating. I'd probably say it's like a 8 or a 9. Does fantastically. It's fine.
Yeah. I don't think it aged too badly either.
No, it really didn't. However, the sequels.
Oh, fucking Chronicles of Riddick and shit.
Chronicles of Riddick and then Riddick. And like,
I don't think I've ever seen Riddick, but I wanted to. That was the one that came out like heaps after the first two, hey?
So it's Pitch Black was 2000. Chronicles of Riddick was 2004, sorry. And then Riddick was like 2013.
Yeah.
It was
I feel like that's a decent jump.
Difference. This was already when he was doing Fast and Furious shit. So it's like
fucking wild.
Oh, man, it's so bad.
I'm just looking at the poster and I'm just like, oh man. I love Vin Diesel, but like, boy.
Like the first one, totally fine, works well, looks good. Second one,
I love that his
kind of pushing.
like most successful films now is him as fucking Groot. Like that's wild.
Yeah. Him saying one word 500 times in different times.
Imagine.
Great. Yeah, like, but again, first Riddick movie, I'd give it really good. Second one, it's okay.
I really enjoyed Pitch Black. Like, I don't remember the film whatsoever, so I do definitely want to watch. What are they doing?
You should 100% watch it again.
Yeah. It's gonna happen.
I think in general, though, people are a bit too aggressive when it comes to which side of the scale they have to sit with everything. Yeah. And like, again, this stuff in the middle, it's totally fine.
Exactly. You can just be chill.
Yeah, you shouldn't start your ratings at 5 or 7 or 3 or whatever. You should start them at 0 and then add for everything and subtract for things you don't. So it evens out. But
exactly. Like, I'm shocking. I walk in being like everything 10 and then see, but that's why everything ends up being a 9 or an 8 in my ratings.
See, and then if I go in and everything's 10 and I don't like the movie or it starts getting worse and worse, then my shit ends up so low. So I'm like, I start at 0 and then I'll add points for every good thing until it like hits a nice median point.
Yeah, that's good.
But like, because that way also if it's shit, then it stays low because it's still something good, but like it's not much.
You're still at least giving it some kind of credit and a chance. You're not just writing it off entirely.
Yeah, plus I like going into any film, whatever genre, whatever film, like with as little expectations as possible because I will enjoy it more that way. Yeah. It's so easy to just fall into that like really bad mindset, honestly, when it comes to
that black and white thinking and extremism.
We should probably wrap up, but before we do, I feel
like we're going to keep talking till like fucking morning if we don't stop.
Honestly, we probably will. It's like at the rate that we're going, this is like 3.5 hours.
So much content for you, buddy. So much.
It's great. I'm gonna just cut all of it together and put it up. If there's anything else you want me to cut out, I'll cut out. But anyway,
that's right.
There's one trope that is in so many things, and I fucking hate it. And it's one specific. I call it the John Wick thing, like the John Wick effect, or the John Wick negative. It's not technically from him first. I've seen it in other things first.
Okay.
And it's anytime you want to depict someone as the bad guy, you have them kill a woman or a child or an animal.
Kick the dog trope.
Yeah, and it's like
kill the dog trope.
Yeah, it's either kill the dog or hurt someone that's innocent and has nothing to do with anything going on. And it's like the most fucking bullshit trope. And I've seen it in a bunch of fucking movies, and it annoys me every time.
Yeah. And like, I understand you're trying to do shorthand, but it is the laziest shorthand on the fucking planet, and I hate it. Like, I hate it in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah.
And it happens multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I tried watching it years ago, and the reason why I stopped was because of the whole kill the dog trope, because I'm like, I can't handle it. It's too much.
Yeah.
I'm glad I continued watching the series because it was fantastic. But then Stardust Crusaders hits, and then it's an even more traumatizing.
Yeah.
It's a lazy trope that needs to be put to sleep, basically. You can show your characters as evil in so many different ways.
Like, we'll go into this in depth probably in another episode.
Yeah. We'll call that podcast episode Leave the Dog Alone.
Well, I want to, like, because there's very good representations of bad guys that are, I don't want to say lawful evil, but like have that, there is depth to the villainous aspects to them. And it's not just, oh, it's a bad guy. It's like, because like one of my favorite is Killmonger from Black Panther, right?
I was fucking thinking the same thing.
It's the definition of how you write someone who is, the entire thing that he's trying to do is to benefit his people. Exactly. Even if it means he has to destroy what his people have made, in his eyes, it is what benefits his people.
Yep. And that's what makes... sorry, you go.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
But that's what makes a really good and interesting villain is, again, when you look at humanity as well, nobody actively wakes up in the morning and says, I want to be the bad guy. Yeah. They're just trying to do what they think is best. Yeah. And for the villains, it's the pretty fucked up shit that they can justify for what they believe in. And that's what makes that interesting. And that's what makes it relatable, because there were a lot of points Killmonger made that you can understand. And it's the humanization of villains, because I feel like demonizing something it's an easy way to not bother understanding, to not bother wanting to know more, to just write it off and be like, it's evil, I hate it, it deserves no rights. Whereas if you bring that human element, you get a much more interesting story as well. And it also means the audience and the viewer questions their own belief systems. Yeah. Because they sit there and they're like, oh, damn, this is a person. I actually agree with some of these things, but I don't agree with how they're going about it. And it's just, the audience comes away with something more than just, I came in to see a film that was entertaining. They actually have quite a lot more value coming from that kind of film and story. Yeah,
100%. And I mean, like the biggest issue that I have with, like, especially when it comes to, so Nosferatu, for example, right? The depth that they gave to the character is really, really good. If you've ever read, like, Bram Stoker's Dracula, a lot of depth that goes into it. Yeah. And you kind of understand where he's coming from, but then there's still hits those moments of, it's just like, oh, he's just evil for the sake of being evil. Or he just does this thing for whatever. And it's like, understand selfish means. Nothing wrong with selfish means. Selfish means is a fantastic thing to use as a plot point. Yeah. Altruistic means, or what you believe to be egalitarian means. Like, you're trying to balance the scale no matter how many people you have to kill, whatever it may be, right? But then, like...
Or you're just trying to impress a hot lady. Sorry. Which is the original motivation behind Thanos, dare I say. And Lady Death is hot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, she is. Goddamn skeleton babe. Like, sorry. But, like, there's a bunch of different ways, and there's a bunch of different things you can go with. I keep looking at like, my folder of movies that I have, and I have, like, every Predator movie, right? Yeah.
Prey was phenomenal. Sorry.
Prey's fucking incredible. I also have every Alien film. And including Alien vs. Predator, which is dog shit, both of them. But I still like them, so yeah. But if you see, say, those two, right, which if we're going to sci-fi horror, one is purely a hunter. They hunt for sport, not for sport, technically. They hunt because it's part of their culture. Yeah. The alien is, like, the Xeno is 100% just, like, animalistic intent. Like, it's just... Yeah. It is trying to survive, and its basic instincts are to kill the other things that may threaten them, use them as food, or use them to reproduce. That's it. Yeah. And, like, you can understand from both sides, because there are fucking parasites and animals and creatures and things amongst us that act both ways. to an extent, right? Like, a lion shows its dominance by taking over the place of the previous, you know? Like, by showing that it is the king of the jungle. But then you also see, like, cordyceps reproduce by literally infesting ants. Like, and how fucking metal is that? But at the same time, like, you can understand those concepts.
Yeah.
So why the fuck are we doing something as simple as, like, here's this child, I'm going to shoot him in the face because I think it's funny?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to make someone a fucking psycho, sure. Understandable. Yeah. That's an easy way to show someone is psychotic.
Yeah.
But, like, if you actually want to create a villain, like, you got to do something more than that. You got to give him some depth, not just, like, evil for the sake of evil, because no one is evil for the sake of evil.
Exactly. Like
even the person that thinks that they're hearing of the voice of God convince them to kill people.
Yeah, they think they're doing good.
Yeah, they think they are the fucking tool of something greater.
Yeah. And that, like, a weird, not weird, but like a very specific example I can think of is a kid's cartoon I remember watching, which I'm pretty sure actually has the child version of Christian Bale in it, that he voiced a child version. He was a child and voiced a character in it, I think, but it was called The Dreamstone. And it was this cartoon. Yeah, it was this cartoon that aired on the ABC in the mid to late 90s. It's so fucking hard to try and find episodes, but basically this evil being that's living in a mountain, sitting on a throne with henchmen and shit, is trying to get the Dreamstone, and he wants to turn it into the Nightmare Stone and control everybody's nightmares and dreams or some shit. I vaguely remember. This is like 20 plus years ago. But in the opening scene of the show, episode 1, the opening scene is of the villain, and he just, like, there's a little bit of an exchange. Clearly a henchman fucked up. He just kills the henchman on the spot. Pretty dark for a fucking kids show, but, like, very effectively shows this is a bad guy.
Yeah.
He has no problem killing one of his workers on the spot and shows no emotion doing it. Phenomenal. Didn't have to kill a dog, didn't have to kill a child.
Yeah. Didn't have to kill some random passerby.
Yeah.
Still super effective, but...
Exactly.
Anyway.
Or even like in anime, you've got the shorthand of, like, having the villain be all in white because of the god complex being shown. Like, easy.
I think in anime they also have such short time to execute something that it's like...
Yeah. So it's the shortest shorthand.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be lazy. You've got even shorter shorthand. You could be... Sorry, I'm just yelling at this point.
No, it's fine. Because, like, I love the John Wick movies. I love the whole series.
I find them very fun.
They are. But, like, the first one... It's like 13 minutes in where they fucking stomp out a puppy, and it's like, why? Like, I understand why, but, like, why? Like, there is no reason.
Yeah, it's very much, for me, in the same vein as women getting fridged in a film for the sake of the main character having a motivation
100%.
For the story to continue. And it's just, well, that's the, like, again, I love the stories, but in loving the stories, I can also criticize them validly, is The Crow. Woman gets fridged. That's the whole thing. And then he avenges her. But, like, I hate that... how do I put it? I hate that defenseless... My cat's distracting me. But, like, I hate that, like, a dog or a pup, innocent, can't defend itself. Child, same thing. Women who are murdered and abused quite a lot, and having something like that trivialized for the sake of a plot point in a film.
Yeah. No, I honestly, it doesn't matter what kind of film it is. Assault in any capacity is, like... essay in particular is like a hard should not be put in it.
Yeah. It's the laziest.
Yeah, there is no plot reason why that should be there. That couldn't be replaced with anything else and still be effective.
Unless you are telling a story specifically about the journey of someone experiencing that, and the after effects of that on their life, and doing it in a very respectful, trauma-informed way. And that's a very specific. There's no other reason, particularly not if you're using it as just a plot device.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's a fine line.
Looking at you, a Serbian film. Sorry.
that movie's just fucked. Like, it's a fine line to walk, because it can be done, and it can be done tastefully and work okay and not be jarring and abrasive and disgusting and completely unnecessary. Serbian film. But but like, it's just fucking always done like the most cheaply way possible, and it always is completely unnecessary. And but yeah, I think that's it. We'll end there, because I need to go grab something to eat.
That is fair. Also same.
So
maybe edit it so the heaviest point isn't the that's what we're doing on purpose. We're keeping the tension with no tension break, like a good horror film.
I'll just end here.
Enjoy that heavy point. Fuck y'all. No.
Nah, it's fine. We'll see. But thank you for joining me for today. I really appreciate it. And thank you
for having me and inviting me.
No, it was fucking great, man. I never would have thought we'd be here for 3.5 hours.
Same.
Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed. Look forward to another episode when it eventually comes out. I don't fucking know when we're doing another one. We'll find out. But thank you. Thank you, Sil.
Yeah. But
if you enjoy this and you want to check out more episodes, more will be coming out soon. This is the first of hopefully a nice deep dive into horror and the horror genres, and maybe some other things as well. We'll see how it goes. But if you enjoyed, please subscribe, follow us, do all the things. Don't forget to give us a rating on streaming services. And also, if you want to check out Sil, go to twitch.tv/PumpkinSpiceSil. Check out the streams. Enjoy. Future episodes to come soon-ish. I don't know. I'm editing this now, so who knows what will happen. And thank you for tuning in. This has been The Horror Corner as part of Stage 4.